You're listening to the Robert Morris Colonials on 7:30 a.m. WPIT Pittsburgh. Now, it's time for the pregame show. Here's the voice of the Colonials, Chris Shovlin.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Colonial football this afternoon from Fairfield, Connecticut, where the Sacred Heart Pioneers entertain the Robert Morris Colonials in a Northeast Conference showdown between undefeated teams. Sacred Heart comes into the ballgame on its home turf here today at Campus Field in Fairfield with a perfect 8-0 slate. They're 5-0 in the Northeast Conference and atop the league along with Robert Morris. The Colonials enter the contest 7-0 overall, having played one fewer game, and of course 5-0 in the NEC. And Marty Galosi with me on the call this afternoon. Marty, this should be a real dogfight here atop the NEC.
No question, Chris. It is for the top spot in the Northeast Conference. And if you were sitting in your chair around August and you started to think about, well, what games might Robert Morris be concerned about come down the line for a Northeast Conference supremacy, this would be one that you wouldn't have even given a second thought to. But what a job Jim Fleming has done here at Sacred Heart University. This program has been turned around in a big way. The Pioneers were picked 9th by the people who are supposed to know, the Northeast Conference coaches. They were picked number 9. But here they are atop the Northeast Conference. They've gone from worst to first and could really take a big step by going all the way to first by knocking off Robert Morris today. However, here's what Coach Walton is most concerned about when it comes to Sacred Heart today. The fact that the Pioneers have had 28 sacks this year. He feels also that they got to be careful because Sacred Heart thinks that they can exploit the Robert Morris defense on the run. Colonials are 64th in the nation against the run. Sacred Heart has forced 25 turnovers this year, 17 by fumbles, and he knows that the Pioneers are hungry. Quarterback Justin Holtfreder, a junior college transfer, says, hey, this is my first championship game. We're going to leave it all on the line. And Sacred Heart can flat out run the football. Marvin Royal last week, a tailback who's a transfer from Fairfield, had 302 yards rushing. And the fact that Sacred Heart is much, much better coached this year under Jim Fleming. They are flat out getting it done this year. Colonials are going to have their hands full.
Fleming, of course, comes in after serving as an assistant at Villanova University, and that's one of the top powers year in and year out in Division I AA football. And, of course, also had some stints at other universities around the country. We'll get into that more a little bit later. But you mentioned a key word here today, Marty, and that is transfer. That is how he has gotten this program revived, and he's done it quickly. As you mentioned, Holtfreders comes in here as a transfer. Marvin Royal comes in as a transfer, and he's got some people who really added some strength to this program in a big hurry. You mentioned that you never thought that the Sacred Heart Robert Morris game would be a big one this late in the season. Last year, the Colonials blew Sacred Heart off the field at Moon 48-0, but we're not going to see a game like that today.
No, it's a completely, I don't want to say it's a completely different team. They've really shored some things up in terms of their skill positions with bringing in some guys that can really play at those positions. Holfreder is one, Royal is another, but when you consider that not only did the Colonials beat Sacred Heart last year 48-0, 2 years ago we played them at Moon Stadium and beat them 44-7. That's 92-7. That's not what we're going to see today. And again, nobody would have thought back over the summer that this would be this way, but it's a credit to what Fleming has done here at Sacred Heart. Again, a team that comes off a 2-9 record last year, and now they find themselves in a dogfight to win the Northeast Conference. Now, there still are 2 league games for each of these teams after today, so it's not all said and done with today. There's still some work to be done, especially for Robert Morris. They have Albany at home next week. And for that matter, for Sacred Heart, they have to play Wagner on the last game of the season on November 18th. So there's still a lot of football to be played after today. But you talk about a real marquee matchup in college football today. This is it.
And I'll agree with every coach in the country and say, take it one at a time. The first step comes first, and that first step is here this afternoon. Again, Robert Morris 7-0 overall, and Sacred Heart 8-0. 5-0, each of them in the Northeast Conference, getting set to do battle here today at Campus Field in Fairfield, Connecticut. And just to give you the description of the scene here today, blue skies, a few high cirrus clouds. Sunshine is very, very bright. There is absolutely no wind at all, which is the antithesis of the game conditions from a week ago for both these clubs. Sacred Heart abandoned its passing game altogether and went to the ground, and that's how Royals was able to get that 302-yard performance under his belt. Robert Morris, of course, got down by 2 touchdowns in their game with Wagner with just minutes to go in the fourth period of play. They were forced to pass, and they really nailed the tight end, Lepchick, to the young tight end, of course, from Katanning, Pennsylvania, Brett Hockenberry, only a freshman. and that combination moved the Colonials downfield. Then they were able to bull into the end zone. They made up the deficit, forced the game into overtime, and won it 38-31.
It's amazing, Chris. We sit here as broadcasters, and what game we're watching and the game the coaches are watching are two totally different things. I remember talking to Coach Walton on Monday, and he said, "You know what? It was an exciting game, grant you that. But I tell you what, we made a lot of mistakes." And he went through a whole litany of mistakes that he knows that they have to correct. Mistakes in the kicking game. Had a punt snapped over the punter's head, which he's going to allude to in his pregame show. We had a punt that was blocked. 2 kickoffs called back. Special teams. We turned the ball over 4 times. Now, granted, Tim Levchik completed 23 of 47 passes for 311 yards. And again, you talk about the differences. The Colonials were playing in a 35-mile-per-hour wind that day at Wagner. Last week against Iona, Sacred Heart's Justin Holzfreder completed just 1 of 5 passes for 4 yards. So, it's whatever it takes to win the game, and Sacred Heart just blew Iona away 46-7. But we have the 2 top rushers in the Northeast Conference coming into today. Robert Morris' Sam Dorsett, Sacred Heart's Marvin Royal, and 2 of the 3 top passers in the Northeast Conference in Tim Levchik and Justin Holzfreder. It's going to be a great football game.
I think it is, and you better hang on to your hats and stay tuned. We're about 23 minutes away from the kickoff. Before we get that and set the lineups, of course, we need to take a timeout, and when we return from that, head coach Joe Walton joins us for the Joe Walton Show. That's all next right here as the pregame show continues from Fairfield on the Robert Morris Colonial Football Network.
WPIT Pittsburgh.
Pregame show continues now with head coach Joe Walton of the Robert Morris Colonials. Joe, last year at this time, Robert Morris faced Sacred Heart, and you beat them 48-0. But I've got a feeling this is a different ball club you're going to face today.
Well, there's no doubt about that, Chris. They've made a tremendous turnaround. They have a new coach that has done an outstanding job. They were able to recruit a couple of junior college kids that have certainly come in and given them some leadership, and it's a different football team, and they're playing with a lot of confidence.
This is a team that looks like wants to sneak up on somebody and really make a name for itself. All of a sudden, people are talking about Sacred Heart. They're 8-0 overall, 5-0 in the conference. They're getting some publicity. You mentioned a New York Times article this morning in the papers here, and this is a team that looks like it has the destiny in front of it. Obviously, yours does too, and you want to stop them.
Well, it's going to be a hard-fought game, I'm sure. I'm kind of glad we're playing them late in the year. If we'd have played them early in the year, I think our kids might have gotten surprised a little bit. But I don't think they're going to sneak up on anybody, the rest of the way, because they've just won too many good games.
What gives them their strength? Obviously, with an 8-0 record, 5-0 in the conference, they have some power, and you've taken a look at their tapes. Tell me what their strengths are.
Well, number one is, they're running the ball very well. They have a young man that's, I think it was over 300 yards he gained last week, and so their offensive line is blocking very well. They have an outstanding tight end that also is doing a good job blocking. So they're running the ball very well. They have a junior college transfer at quarterback who has given them some stability there at that position. So. But I think the key is going to be whether we can handle the run, which has been a problem for us over the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Marvin Royal is their running back out of Pleasantville, New Jersey, and a transfer from Fairfield. He responded with a school record, NEC single-game season high, 302 yards on 29 carries, and they pretty much had the same problem we did last week. They had to fight the wind, so their quarterback pulled the ball down, and they kept it on the ground.
Yeah, they were able to do that and do it very effectively. We got in a position where we had to throw. That was what was so impressive with Tim Levchik, our quarterback. That final quarter, when we needed to come back, we were into the wind. So it was a very impressive day that Timmy had last week.
We'll talk about last week's game, the big overtime win over Wagner, right after we take this time out. The Joe Walton Show continues after this break on the Robert Morris Colonial Radio Network.
Just like the Robert Morris Colonials know what it takes to be a part of a winning team, so does John Soretti. Dedication, determination, and loyalty are all important ingredients to success. Here at John Soretti's, we live and breathe by that philosophy.
Well, for the first time this season, Robert Morris found itself down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. 14:09 to go when Chris Davis carried the ball in from 1 yard out. This was after a blocked punt. Wagner blocked the Robert Morris punt deep in Colonial territory. They were able to carry it in after 2 plays. 31-17, you were down. But Joe Walton, your team never let down. It seemed like they regained a focus or reinvigorated its focus and really went after it and got the job done.
Well, the best thing that came out of the game was that fact. I think they never quit. They kept coming, and we were able to pull it out. But I certainly don't want to go through those kind of games much anymore. We made too many mistakes. You know, when you turn the ball over 4 times, have a punt blocked, and have one sailed over the punter's head. We also had a kickoff return, called back for a clip. Those kind of days you usually lose. So we consider ourselves very fortunate we pulled that out.
Good football teams do find ways to win. Of course, not only did you need to get back into the ballgame, but you needed a 2-point conversion. You needed to get into overtime. And once the overtime period started, it looked like Robert Morris was just very, very businesslike, and Wagner really was on its heels.
Well, we got a good start by getting into the end zone first, and our defense responded. Jamon Riff, made that great sack, and but that's what you have to do to win in overtime. You have to score and stop them from scoring. So that's what happened.
Big game, big win. Robert Morris pulls out its first ever overtime game, 38-31. At this point in the season, with as many veterans as you have, specifically on the defensive side of the ball, when you watch tapes of your club, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for mental errors. I've told the team, and I told them again last night in our pregame meeting. We haven't put a complete game together yet this season. What I mean by that is offense, defense, and special teams. We've played well at times in all 3 areas, and we've played poorly at times in all 3 areas. So the difference in this team compared to last year was we were on the rise in the last 4 or 5 games last year, and I think if we don't start going on the rise, today and finish out the season the way we did last year, we may struggle. So that's what they have to do.
One more point on the Wagner game, and I know, and I've said this time and time again, week after week, one of your concerns coming into the season was tight end. You moved a wide receiver, a freshman from Katanning, Brent Hockenberry, to the tight end position. I know that you're pleased with Andy Gill and the way he's blocking, but Hockenberry has great hands. You were able to fire some dump passes to Hockenberry this past week, and really that helped Robert Morris win that ball game. That was some great play from Lepchick to Hockenberry.
Well, we've been very pleased with Brent. He's come along a lot quicker than I thought he would. He struggled with the position when we first moved him. I figured that he'd have all this year to learn and to hone his blocking skills and would be a good player in the future. And he's come along awfully fast, and we're awfully glad we have him.
I know that you have a great affection for the tight end position, and particularly in your offense when you use a double tight end set, and sometimes I've seen you throw 3 of them in at times. But I'm wondering if that gives Robert Morris an extra dimension that no other team in this conference and no other team that we've faced has. I mean, it seems to me that that's a definite plus in Robert Morris's favor.
Well, I was a tight end myself, and you're right. Maybe I lean a little bit towards them, but it always has been a part of my offense for as long as I've been coaching. I go all the way back to the New York Giants in the early 70s when Bob Tucker led the whole National Football League and receiving as a tight end. And then I had good tight ends with the Redskins of Washington and with the Jets, Mickey Schuler. Those kids were, outstanding players, but I think it is a part of my offense that I can't change.
We'll be back with head coach Joe Walton of the Colonials right after this. Joe, it has been a long grind. Robert Morris still undefeated, and hopefully this is going to be that breakout game. A lot of the Colonial faithful is hoping, with what you said earlier on in our pregame show, the same thing, that everything comes together right now because you were on the build last year toward the end of the season. Maybe today is that day. Of course, after the long grind, you wonder how the team is physically. Obviously, there have been no major injuries, thank goodness, but physically, how is the team prepared to go into this ball?
Well, I think we're fairly healthy. Scott Konchak, our right tackle, sprained his ankle last week against Wagner, and he's been hobbled a little bit in practice this week, so it seems like he's ready to go. It's been bothering him, but other than that, we feel like we're fairly healthy, and I think that's a big positive.
I'm wondering, are the ball players still taking this thing one game at a time? We always talk about that, and I know it's coach speak, and people don't like to hear that kind of stuff. They want to look ahead because that's what they do as fans. But is the ball team still looking at this thing one game at a time?
Well, they better, because if they're not thinking and focusing on Sacred Heart today, we can be in a lot of trouble. So nothing else means anything but what takes place in this game today. And I've been telling the kids we're writing our own book this year, and this is chapter 8. And they're the ones that are writing the script, so it's up to them.
Coach, thank you. Good luck this afternoon.
Okay, Chris.
Head coach Joe Walton of the Colonials. Marty and I will be back to set the starting lineups for you, and we'll have the kickoff coming up next. Robert Morris at Sacred Heart right here on AM 73 WPIT and on the World Wide Web and the Colonial Radio Network.
In the West Hills Plaza, Moon Township, Travelers Service Company, Jostens, maker of RMC's class rings, Wiggy's Restaurant in Moon Plaza, Chris Pullman's Flowers and Gifts in Coriopolis, Domino's Pizza, the Colonial Athletic Club, and by the NCAA. Now, here's the 1998 March of Dimes Air Award winner for Best Sports Play-by-Play, Chris Shovlin.
So difficult to believe that this is the first full weekend in November. We've got blue skies, sunshine, temperatures in the low 60s, but no wind at all. It looks more like springtime than it does November and fall football. Good afternoon. I'm Chris Shovlin. Marty Galosi is with me as we bring you live to Campus Field in Fairfield, Connecticut, the home of the Sacred Heart University Pioneers, undefeated in Division I AA mid-major football with an 8-0 record overall. They're 5-0 in the Northeast Conference. Robert Morris comes in undefeated as well, having played one less game at 7-0 and 5-0 in the NEC. Marty, you heard head coach Joe Walton. You and I had breakfast with him this morning and then discussed strategy in today's ball game and what he planned to do. He said there is nothing other than the business of the day today for these Colonials. They need to take a look at this Sacred Heart team, take it very, very seriously. This is an undefeated team, a team that has blown out some of its opponents, a much different team than the team that Robert Morris blew out 48-0 from a season ago. So the business of the day is to settle in, concentrate on Sacred Heart and Sacred Heart only, and try to get another win.
Yeah, Chris also had the opportunity to talk to Robert Morris defensive coordinator Dan Radakovich last night and ask him about some of the things that concern him about Sacred Heart's offense. And he said they like to shift a lot. He knows they're going to try to run the ball first and control the clock, but he also knows that they can throw. And the thing that concerns him also is getting pressure on the quarterback. Justin Holtfretter likes the 1, 3, and 5-step drops. You won't see him going back in that long 7-step drop. He's going to throw quick, and he has 3 big offensive weapons that he didn't have last year, does Jim Fleming, the coach of Sacred Heart, in Holtfretter, the quarterback, Marvin Royal, the tailback, and Deverin Johnson, who's a split end, who played basketball, of all things, for Sacred Heart last year, gave up the basketball career and decided to give all his efforts to football, and he's responded in a big way for this team. He leads the team with 29 receptions and 4 touchdowns. He averages 15.4 yards per reception, and he has 448 receptions on the year. And Royal also 710 yards on the ground this year, so he's a big threat, as is Holtfretter, who completes about 56% of his passes.
The Sacred Heart University football team takes the field here at its home campus in Fairfield. Justin Holtfretter, as you mentioned, the starting quarterback, leads them out. And he will have Andy Gonzalez and Deverin Johnson as his wideouts. Marty Wyman, Jason St. John will be on the left side of the offensive line. Chris Evie, the center, Stuart Oakes and Jason Bendig on the right side of the line with Chris Wilkinson, the starting tight end today. Brandon Graham, the fullback. Marvin Royal, who had a 302-yard performance last week, will be the starting tailback here today under Jim Fleming in his first year at Sacred Heart, and what a marvelous turnaround. We'll introduce the defense for Robert Morris first because they played such an astounding second half last week, fourth quarter and overtime period. Brad Kieran and Matt Grayson are the ends. Chris Young and Murray Poole are the tackles. Brad Miller, Craig Herman, Jamond Riff are the linebackers. We'll see Reggie Chambers in there when they go to a 3-4. Cornerbacks are Joe Austin and Nick Downs, and the safeties are Jason Hempstead and Raymond Smoke Thomas. Head coach Joe Walton, the former man of the New York Jets, talked about his affection and affinity for the tight end position and how Brent Hockenberry and Tim Levchuk have made a nice combination so far this football season and how those two helped save that game last week. And now, from Fairfield, our national anthem. Into it. The community is flocked to this football team after their amazing turnaround from a season ago. Let's take a look at the starters offensively for Robert Morris now. Tim Levchuk, their heady quarterback, only a junior from Ford Cliff, Pennsylvania, and Ford City High School, will get the start again today. Levchuk, 99 of 185 passing, 1,348 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 6 picks on the year. We'll throw to Sean Martin and Opio Gary, the two wideouts. Brent Hockenberry, his favorite receiver this year so far. The tight end has come on strong. Although Gary has 26 balls, it seems that Hockenberry has been his favorite as of late, particularly when the coverage on Gary and Martin is so tight and Robert Morris can't seem to run the ball. They go to that tight end. Andrew Gill will get the start at tight end, although we'll see the double tight end set, which Joe Walton calls the jumbo package. Pat Lindbergh and Kevin Wackus are on the left side of the line. Mark Leonard will anchor it at center. Adam Sowers and Scott Konchak on the right side. Nick Daniel will be the starting fullback, and Sam Dorsett will get a start at the tailback spot. And Marty, not to overshadow anybody's performance last week, it wasn't just Hockenberry and Levchuk. The defense had to come on. They had to get some good runs. They got some out of Dorsett. And Dante Settles, of course, came on as reserve tailback. Played well for Robert Morris at Wagner.
Yes, he did, Chris. And you also alluded to Brent Hockenberry, what a game he had last week. 6 catches for 133 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, in the past 2 games combined, Hockenberry has 10 catches for 289 yards and 4 touchdowns. That would be a season for some players. But what a past couple of 2 weeks the young freshman from Katanning, PA, and Katanning High School has had from the tight end position.
Defensively for Sacred Heart, Jamel Keels and Butch Ruda are the ends. Kyle St. George is the nose tackle. DJ Diamond, the defensive tackle. Linebackers are Craig Capurso, Coyote Mayoa, Jason Jarrett. The corners are Victor Benson and Kaheem Cowan, and the safeties are Brian Pawlowski and Pete Athens. Sacred Heart will kick off to Robert Morris. They have the ball at the 35-yard line off to our right here on this AstroTurf covered surface at Sacred Heart University in Fairfield, Connecticut.
Chris, Joe Walton trying for his 50th Robert Morris victory today. There are only 3 active men right now who have as many as 50 collegiate wins and 50 NFL head coaching wins. Sort of a did you know who those 3 are? Well, if Joe Walton gets it today, he would be one. The other 2 are John Robinson, the head coach at UNLV. He won 111 games as a college coach, 75 in the NFL. And Bobby Ross, the head coach of the Detroit Lions, with 94 in college and 74 in the NFL.
Tim Redicam with a run-up and the kick. It comes to the near side. Opio Gary collects it at the breadbasket at the 14. He cuts to the far side, middle of the field. He turns it up to the 15, to the 20. He's hit at the 22 and falls forward to about the 24-yard line. So a good return by Opio Gary of 10 yards on that kick to the near side corner. And Robert Morris will have the football first offensively. The Colonials come out with their white jerseys on today. Blue numerals and red trim. Robert Morris emblazoned across the chest. They're wearing the blue pants on the road again today and the white helmets. Tim Levchik, the junior quarterback from Fort Cliff, PA, gets set to take the first snap. He has one back behind him in Sam Dorsett. Now Andrew Gill steps off the line, goes in motion to the left. Opio Gary and Sean Martin are the wideouts, and the give will go to Dorsett. He'll cut to the left, cut back to the middle over the 25, and he's downed at the 29-yard line. Heads-up tackle on the play by Butch Ruda, the defensive end for Sacred Heart, but it's a pickup of close to 5 yards for the Robert Morris Colonials on their first offensive play of the game.
That play designed to go left, and the offensive line did do a good job. Got a little seam in there for Sam Dorsett, and he picked up 5 yards, cutting it back to the right.
Just underway here in Fairfield today. Now Gary comes to the right side of the flanker. It's a split backfield. And Levchik off of play action. A swing pass out to the rear, right side, the near side. That's Sam Dorsett. Did he duck a tackle at the 30 and cut up to the 35, and he's ahead to the 39-yard line. Somebody named Jason Jarrett, number 44, came headhunting, and Dorsett was able to duck out of his way and pick up a Robert Morris first down all the way to the 39.
Gosh, Chris, I hate when color men speak over top of the play-by-play man. I apologize, but Brent Hockenberry absolutely wiped out Jason Jarrett. I mean, he lit him up. Jarrett had no idea it was coming. Great crackback block by Brent Hockenberry, and a big first down for the Colonials. I mean, Hockenberry lit him up.
Hockenberry tight left this time. Gill is tight right. Sean Martin, the lone wideout, the flanker to the near side. He goes in motion left. Colonials working for the near hash mark, left to right. Levchik out of play action again. Looks, throws long, looking for Martin downfield. He's double covered. 2 men on him, and everybody tumbles down. The ball is incomplete at the 25-yard line, and they're going to say incidental contact. Covering was free safety Pete Athens, and Victor Benson step for step with Martin, who actually slowed down looking for the ball.
Yeah, double coverage. Tried to take advantage of Sean Martin's speed down there at about the 30, but he couldn't get away. A little bit of incidental contact, but I think the official saying the ball was uncatchable, so that'll be 2nd down and 10 for the Colonials.
From the 39-yard line is where Robert Morris operates. Now to the left side, Dave Bourne comes in for the first time today. He and Sean Martin are out there in a slot. Right side is Opio Gary. It's a draw play. This is sudden Sam Dorsett out of Hollywood, Florida. Dorsett starting left again and then cracking it back to the middle. Gets up to the 44-yard line for a pickup of close to 5 yards on the play. This time defensively, Coyote Mayoa, who comes into the game, their leading tackler with 84 takedowns on the year, 1 pick, 1 pass breakup, and 1 fumble recovery.
Mayola, one of the holdovers from that team last year. He's from Providence, Rhode Island. He's a 5'11", 210-pound sophomore.
Now Ryan Fulmer is the flanker to the left. He comes in motion back to the set to the right. Levchik, spin move. He's going to throw, and an over-the-shoulder attempt by Nick Daniel as Levchik had to go throw it quickly because of the rush coming in on him, and Daniel never saw it coming. By the time he got turned around, the ball was already delivered. So Levchik in trouble, had to get rid of it quickly. It brings up 4th down and 5, and Robert Morris will punt for the first time today. Bruce Rubenberg is in to kick for the Colonials. He will stand inside his own 30 with a line of scrimmage at the 44.
That was Brian Pulaski coming from his cornerback position, untouched on a blitz, and really forced him to get rid of that ball just a little quicker than he wanted to, and he was just off the mark to Dick Daniel out of the backfield.
Good snap. Punt is blocked. Punt is blocked. Second time in as many weeks, and the ball is loose on the floor at the 35. It rolls to the 30, and it's recovered by the Colonials, but Sacred Heart will have possession deep in Robert Morris territory. They're going to rule it down at the 33-yard line. First break of the game comes at the 12:45 mark of the first period as Bruce Rubenberg, for the second time in as many weeks, has a punt blocked. He was taking way too much time to get rid of the football.
And the snap didn't look all that bad, Chris, but the protection was just not very good.
Now, Justin Holtfretter comes in to run the offense for Sacred Heart. They shift 2 men to the near side left. They're going to move the football right to left. Holtfretter drops back, gives off. Brandon Graham, their power back, the fullback, is hit in the backfield and thrown down for a 2-yard loss. Reggie Chambers and Jamon Riff, the 2 linebackers, came in there Grayson and Currit had him surrounded as well, but give the takedown to Riff and Chambers. It's a loss of 2 yards.
You keep calling on this defense, Chris, and Robert Morris is a pretty good one. Colonials allowing 250 yards per game total defense. That's third best in the NEC.
Deverin Johnson goes wide to the right side. Gonzalez is in the slot. High backfield, and now Gonzalez in motion to the set. Holt Fretters takes the snap, drops back, and he gives off to the left side. This is Marvin Royal, and Royal trying to turn the corner, does so only to the 32-yard line where Raymond Thomas runs him down from behind and throws him out of bounds. They're going to spot his progress up to the 31, so he'll pick up 5 on the carry, but it'll bring up 3rd down and 7 for Sacred Heart.
Ray Thomas fighting a little bit of a flu-like symptoms bug. I think it was just last night. He seems to be 100%. He saw him at breakfast this morning, and he seemed to be feeling a lot better than he was feeling last night. So, Smoke Thomas coming up and making that play.
A tight triple set to the right side for Sacred Heart now. Holt Fretter getting set to draw the snap on 3rd down and 7. Does so from the Colonial 31. Drops back, pops it over the middle, intended for 84 Andy Gonzalez, who was flaring out to the right side. It's incomplete off of his hands, but he had to reach back for that ball as well. Catchable ball, but still, it'll bring up 4th down and long. And now Sacred Heart looks to bring its field goal kicking unit out with Tim Redican, their booter. Mike Toto will hold for him. The ball will be spotted at the 38. This is a 48-yard attempt. It will go left to right. It's a long kick, and it will travel downfield, but just end up short underneath the crossbar. Oh, boy. Robert Morris evades a scare there and will take the ball over on downs after the missed field goal by Sacred Heart with 11:52 to go here in the first period. No score.
You better believe it, Chris, that they dodge a bullet there. Credit the Colonial defense. Especially, I think that first down play really set the tone. The way they stuffed that run going up the middle, Brandon Graham. I think Jim Fleming trying to keep Robert Morris a little off keel, and the Colonial defense really responded there.
So the 48-yard attempt is short, and Robert Morris gets the ball at the 31 in its own territory. Sam Dorsett will have it. He's going to cut to the left, back to the middle, up over the 40 to the 45. Sam Dorsett tripped up finally at the 47-yard line. A great burst of speed by Sam Dorsett.
Yeah, you called him Sudden Sam, Chris. He comes into today leading the Northeast Conference with 110.1 yards rushing per game. He has a chance to go over 1,000 yards, become only the 3rd Colonial ever to rush for 1,000 yards. Sam Dorsett comes into today's game with 771 yards rushing.
And think about who the other 2 are. Here's Fulmer in motion to the set, the flanker to the right. Now Dorsett running up the middle, can't find anything. He bounces off, cuts it around the left side to the 50, to the 45, and into Sacred Heart territory to the 42-yard line. There was nothing there up the middle. He was running into his own blockers, and Dorsett turned it to the outside and picked up positive yards and another Robert Morris first down.
Yeah, Sam Dorsett really getting him going early today, and that's what you want to do.
Just underway here in Fairfield, Connecticut. Chris Shublin with Marty Galosi. We're approaching the 11-minute mark of the first period. No score between Robert Morris and Sacred Heart. Both teams undefeated. Here's Lepchick giving off. Nick Daniel, the fullback this time, twists his way around the corner, and he tries to fight forward for some yardage, and that extra yard might have cost him a cough-up of the football, but they're going to rule that ball down. Oh, brother. Almost another costly error by the Colonials, but it looks like Opie O'Gary's at the bottom of that pile and recovered the football.
I think the ref actually ruled that Nick was down. Of course, Nick fumbled on the 2-yard line last week at Wagner with the Colonials driving for what would have been a tying touchdown. Then on the next drive, they came right back and tied it, and he caught not only the game-tying 2-point conversion pass from Tim Lepchick, but the game-winning touchdown pass in overtime.
Slot to the right side with Gary and Martin out here. And now Martin goes in motion back to the set. Here's Lepchick. And it's an end around. This is Martin getting the handoff to the 35. He cuts back up to the 30. Martin is popped by a number of men at the 29-yard line and taken off of his cleats there by Craig Capurso, the linebacker on the outside, who came into the game with 58 tackles on the season.
Little Colonial trickery there, a little end around, and Sean Martin had good blocking downfield from the Hopewell product, Adam Sowers, coming over from his right guard position to take out a few players. I think Jason Jarrett was the man downfield, and another big pickup for the Colonials. Gain of 8 yards and another first down.
10 minutes left, first quarter, no score. Robert Morris threatening here. They're at the Sacred Heart 30. Split backfield and a pro set offense. Lepchick turns, play action. He wants to stand tall and fire into the pocket, and he will throw downfield. Hockenberry makes the catch at the 20, rumbles to the 15 and ahead to the 14-yard line for another Colonial first down. And there's that connection we talked about coming into the ball game, Marty. Tim Levchik from Ford City to freshman Brent Hockenberry from Katanning, PA.
And Colonials now 5 first downs to Sacred Heart 0, and that's another big pickup, gain of 16 yards. Brent Hockenberry just finding a seam in the Sacred Heart secondary and getting the Colonials inside the red zone.
Not to mention fighting off the defender who was on his back on the play. Here come the Colonials now from inside the 15-yard line. Sam Dorsett, the only back. Hockenberry comes out the tight end to the right, goes in motion left. Penalty flag will fly. It's a dead ball foul as Levchik faced a strong rush that time, and putting a hand in his face was DJ Diamond, I do believe. Let's see what that penalty is all about.
It's going to be a legal procedure, Chris, against the Colonials. That's going to cost them 5.
Actually, it was Eric Penny who came off the defensive line, one of their backups. Kind of stiff-armed Levchik. He didn't really like it that much and shoved back, but you're right. It is procedures call. Back to the 20, the ball goes. Just inside of that spot. 9:03 to go, first quarter. Robert Morris, nothing. Sacred Heart, nothing.
I think the Colonials were looking to pass on that play. Let's see if they use the same play that they were trying to decide on that play.
Same formation. Gary to the right, Dorsett the single back. He's going to run it straight up the middle. There goes Sam, 15, down to the 10, ahead to the 9, and tripped up from behind there.
Sacred Heart defense, Chris, totally fooled on that play. Eric Penny was up the field a good 10 yards, and Tim Levchik had already handed off the ball to speedy Sam Dorsett.
Jamel Keels had to bring him down. He brought him down from behind. Keels, one of the linemen, had to go way into the defensive backfield to find Sudden Sam. And, yeah, you thought they were going to pass, too. 8:23 to go, first period. No score. Colonials on the march here inside the 10-yard line.
7th play of the drive.
Dorsett with a toss. Sweeping to the left. Gets a block in front of him. Turns the left corner. Finds a couple of tough yards and is rolled out of bounds on the far side of play by Kahim Cowan. Also over there for Sacred Heart was Coyote Mayoa. And Sam will pick up just a handful there, down to about the 7-yard line. Give him a 2-yard gain.
Kahim Cowan, a cornerback this year. He's a running back last year, led the team in rushing. And Pat Lindbergh had a real opportunity to put a real good block on Cowan, but he fought it off and was able to get to Sam Dorsett and hold him only to a 2-yard gain.
It is third down and about 2.5 for the Colonials. They have the ball at the Sacred Heart 7. 8:07 to go, first period. 2 backs behind Levchik, Ryan Swafford and Kevin Jordan. Levchik fakes the crossbuck, throws into the end zone, touchdown Robert Morris, and it is to the tight end, Brent Hockenberry of the Colonials, who came off the line to the left side and just went down and in 5 yards into the end zone and caught the Levchik pass. And the Colonials lead 6-0 here with 8:02 to go in period number 1.
How about Tim Levchik? Man, he didn't even have his first option. He was looking for Nick Daniels swinging out of the backfield to the right. Didn't have it. Went through his progression. Took his time. Good patience. Great throw. Touchdown Colonials.
Alan Mangus is on to hold. Jeff Carlo is the place kicker for the Robert Morris Colonials. Good snap. Mangus puts it down. Carlo kicks it high, strong, almost belted one of the camera people on that lift in the end zone, and it is good. So the Colonials take a 7-0 lead early on. 8:02 to go. First quarter, we'll take a 60-second timeout on the Robert Morris Colonial Football Network. Back in Fairfield, Chris Shumlin, Marty Galosi. Carlos' kick carries down to the 4-yard line, and it's going to be returned by Kahim Cowan. Cowan cutting to the far side of play, turning it upfield all the way to the 30 and brought down by the Colonials there. Mike Rosatone headhunted him, and so did Smoke Thomas, who seems to always be in on the tackle.
Yeah, Smoke, he plays on just about every special team, so it's not surprising that he'd get down there and make that tackle. Perhaps that's why he does lead the Colonials in tackles.
The touchdown drive by Robert Morris. 8 plays, 69 yards, 3 minutes, 50 seconds. Brent Hockenberry hauling in the 7-yard pass from Tim Levchik. Jeff Carlo tacking on the extra point. Robert Morris leads Sacred Heart 7-0. And that was an important drive after having Bruce Rubenberg's punt blocked by Brian Pulaski. And then Sacred Heart trying to get a field goal of 48 yards and missing. Now, Big hole. And rumbling up the field to the left side is Marvin Royal on the first play from scrimmage in that series. And Royal blasts out all the way to the 47-yard line.
First down for the Pioneers. And, yes, Marvin Royal, as we said, 302 yards last week. He picks up 17 on that play. Trying to get the Pioneers rolling.
He was turning and twisting that body every which way and causing the Colonials to miss. Now out near midfield. Here comes Sacred Heart with the ball. Tight end Chris Wilkinson goes in motion to the right. They're going to move Deverin Johnson over to the left a bit. Now motion out of the backfield by a new runner in. Here's the toss sweep. And bouncing off a couple of Colonials is Douglas Jeffrey. And Jeffrey finally collared by Brad Miller of Robert Morris after some tomfoolery over on that side of the line over on the right side. He was able to turn it upfield for about a yard gain to the 48.
Well, I'm not sure if they're calling that a pass or a run, Chris. I'm going to assume they're going to call it a complete pass. He almost...
I would think they'd have to, Marty, because it was a toss and it was coming forward.
Yeah, okay, right. You're right. And, Nick Downs almost made a mockery of that play, but good play by Jeffrey to keep his eye on the ball and at least pick up two.
Downs the corner playing up on the line right now on the far side. Here comes Jeffrey in motion to the left this time. Back to pass is Holfreder, and he's going to throw it over the middle, and it's incomplete. And a big collision down at the 40-yard line as Jeffrey was coming out of the backfield, going straight downfield, and it was broken up nicely by the Colonials. Not sure if that was Brad Miller out there or a couple of white shirts.
Yeah, a lot of Colonials in the area. We talked about the struggles last week of Holfreder. Not really so much the struggles that they did abandon their passing game. Still, he is third in the Northeast Conference in passing yards per game, and he's also thrown 11 touchdown passes. That is also third in the NEC this season.
No win today, and that's why Holfreder last week had to get rid of the passing game because it was blustery. They played in the same conditions Robert Morris did at Wagner last week. And, of course, Robert Morris was forced to pass because they were so far behind in the game by 2 touchdowns and then came back to win in overtime. Now Holfreder is going to whip one out to the right side. It's caught, but immediately Reggie Chambers is on the receiver, Chris Wilkinson, the tight end, who was down and out. And now a late penalty flag here. I think we're going to see a late hit called on Chambers. It was over the boundary line on the far side of play near the Colonial bench. And they're telling... both sidelines, both teams to get back away from the sideline.
But I think the penalty, though, Chris, is a sideline violation against the Colonials for being up too close to that sideline. Not so much a warning, but if you said you saw a flag, then I think that might be is it a penalty or is it just a warning?
Well, I saw a flag at first.
They're just going to warn the team. That's all it was, a warning. Yeah.
They're going to pick the flag back up, but if one did fly on the far side, it was a late one. And it will be 4th down, so that's good. So no flag, but they are giving both clubs a warning. 4th down and 3. Line of scrimmage is the Colonial 46. And the punter for Sacred Heart, Mike Kraft, is on. Big rush coming. He's able to bang it. It'll be a tall, wobbly kick. Fair catch called for by Nick Downs. He circles under it at the 16-yard line, and the Colonials take over there. Quickly, let's head back to Pittsburgh. We have 6:29 to go here in the first period of play. 7-0 is the score. Robert Morris on top. Let's get a 30-second scoring update from Adam Gusky back at the studios of WPIT.
Thank you very much, Chris. First of all, in the Big East Conference, Syracuse 14, WVU 7. All these games are in the first quarter. Boston College 14, Temple 0, Miami 14, Virginia Tech 0. But Michael Vick is coming into that game right now. Michigan State 13, Ohio State 3 in the Big Ten. Indiana 7, Illinois 7, Minnesota leads Wisconsin 9-3, Iowa leading Penn State in Happy Valley 7-0, and in the SEC, Tennessee 3, Memphis 0. That one just beginning the second quarter. Back to you, Chris.
All right, Adam, thank you. As the Colonials take the snap on this third possession of the game, a whistle blows, flag flies, and we've got a procedures call against Robert Morris. That's going to knock them back 5 more yards, and that will put the ball at around the 12-yard line in Robert Morris' side of the field, so the Colonials backing up near their own doorstep here.
Oh, Chris, we talked about it at the Proud set. Coach Walton not pleased with the mistakes the team's making. You hate to harp on a team 7-0. They've won 14 in a row, but you know they are making mistakes. Penalized 175 yards last week against Wagner. It was a school record.
Well, Joe's looking for perfection here. Here's a toss and a sweep to the left side. Nick Daniel, the fullback, turns it upfield, 15-20. There's Daniel, 25-30, 35-40. Daniel maintains his balance. No whistles yet, although he's tight-roping the sideline. Finally brought down from behind at the 35-yard line in Sacred Heart territory. What a blast by Nick Daniel. and what balance he had to maintain and keep that ball inbounds.
Nick Daniel, 5'10", 200-pound fullback out of Cincinnati, Ohio, Summit Country Day. And what a run for Nick Daniel all the way to the Sacred Heart 30-yard line. Wow, what a run. 53 yards for Nick Daniel.
53 yards indeed for Nick Daniel, and he's going to stay in for the next play. Sam Dorsett joins him. They're split. Here's Levchuk wanting to throw. Pump fake. Now fires hard over the middle. Ryan Fulmer is there at the 5 on a slant in, but couldn't haul the ball in. It was down low at his hip pads, but it was a catchable ball, and Fulmer just did not hold on. And, man, did he have the seam split between Pete Athens and Victor Benson, who were covering him back there, but Fulmer just plain couldn't catch it. Inside the 20-yard line for a 1-yard gain to the 19, and Robert Morris's defense has to tighten up again. Sacred Heart has the football. 3rd down and 4 yards to go at the Robert Morris 19.
Big play by Matt Grayson filling that hole and bringing down Royal. One of the few times we've seen him run between the tackles today, Chris.
Gonzalez right, Johnson to the left. High backfield. Royal and Graham are the runners. Here is Holtfretter giving off, and Royal gets the handoff and is immediately tripped up, and I'm not sure if he didn't go down under his own power.
He absolutely did, Chris. Same thing that happened to Sam Dorsett. Those little turf monkeys jumped up and pulled him down.
Yeah, there is something in this that will haunt runners, especially around the ankles. And now they're going to try another field goal here. Tim Redican is on, and he will try this one from the 28. It's a 38-yard attempt. This time he's going to have the distance. It is high, tall, and good, and Sacred Heart gets on the board. They trail Robert Morris 7-3 with 13:51 to play in the second period. We'll be back in 60 seconds on the Robert Morris Colonial Football Network.
Pittsburgh.
Tim Levchuk throws his 7th interception of the year. That leads to a Sacred Heart field goal. They're on the board 7-3, trailing Robert Morris now. And here's the kick to Opio Gary down inside the 5. Brings it back to the 20, up to the 25, and is shot down there. On the tackle on the return that time, DeMond Littles for Sacred Heart. Robert Morris will have the football back at its own 26-yard line. 1st down and 10 for the Colonials, who lead 7-3 with 13:42 to go in the second period. Boy, the Colonials have been shooting themselves in the foot so far in this ball game. They've done it a couple of times. Coughed up the ball and were able to recover their own fumbles, but Levchuk throwing that pick there led to a Sacred Heart score.
And you mentioned on the previous drive, Chris, Ryan Fulmer wide open at the 2-yard line, but just couldn't hold on to a pass from Tim Levchuk.
Now a run play. This is Nick Daniel coming out of the right halfback spot. He'll come to the left side, crashing into the line and rumbling forward for a short gain up to the 27, maybe to the 28-yard line. And immediately poked down there by the men in red. It'll be a gain officially of 3 yards. They're going to move him up to the 29-yard line. So spot is forward progress to that point on the AstroTurf here. 7-3. Robert Morris on top with 13:15 to play second quarter.
Nick Daniel with 54 yards today on 3 carries. Of course, he had that big 48-yard rush. That's half his season total. He had 111 coming into today's game.
Usually the short yardage expert, and now we've got movement on the line, and it looked like the nose tackle or defensive tackle, one of the two, might have been Eric Penny or Kyle St. George, came across the line of scrimmage. And it was Eric Penny indeed who did. So that will cost Sacred Heart 5 yards on the play. And they will move the ball up to the 34-yard line for encroachment.
Well, that takes the Colonials out of 2nd and long, now in 2nd and short. And maybe they think about doing something here. Maybe putting the ball up a little bit down the field, or just go ahead and knock out that 1st down. But here's an opportunity to do a little something with 2nd and short.
Here's Fulmer, wide to the right side, the flanker. Martin is to the left. Levchuk back to pass. In traffic, throws it, and he just dumps it over the middle. Hockenberry makes the grab, moves up to the 40-yard line with a nice dump ball right over the middle. And again, Marty, you mentioned earlier how Levchuk reads the receivers. If he can't find his first target, he looks for the second. Can't find the second, then he's looking for the tight end or somebody swinging out of the backfield. Hockenberry may have been his 3rd target on that particular play, and he found him, and they got the 1st down to the 40.
Yeah, Hockenberry now 4 receptions already here in the first half, 31 yards. And, boy, he's become the new favorite receiver for Tim Levchuk.
Now out of the pro set, 1st down and 10. Opio Gary, the flanker, comes in motion right to left. Here's the give to Sam Dorsett. Dorsett off the right side, finds a hold of the 45 up to the 47-yard line. Dorsett tracked down finally on the play by Butch Ruda. And although also in there, O'Dane Mitchell, who just checked in, only a sophomore, 6'2", 225 from nearby Bridgeport, Connecticut. But it's a nice pickup, a 7-yard gain for Sam Dorsett. It'll be second down and a little more than 3.
Sam already halfway to his 4th 100-yard rushing game of this season. He has 51 on 9 carries unofficially.
In the second period of play, 11:47 to go on a running clock. Colonials lead 7-3. Levchik back to pass off the play action, throws downfield, and pushing off was the tight end Andrew Gill. He had to do so to get some clearance there. Pete Athens was defensing him very, very well that time, and Gill was not flagged on the play, even though he pushed off on the defender to get to the football, and he catches it at the 30 and tumbles down for another Robert Morris first down.
Boy, I have to side with the fans on that one, Chris. I definitely think Andy Gill pushed off, but nevertheless, a 23-yard gain. The Colonials in very good field position now.
Take him when you can get him. First down and 10, Robert Morris, after Gill's completion from Levchik. And now Timmy getting set to draw the snap again. We'll send Sean Martin out wide to the left side. Single back is Dorsett. Gary is the flanker to the right. And now there's some confusion, and Levchik has to call the Colonials' first timeout. We'll take 1, 2. 11:13 to play. We're in the second quarter. It is Robert Morris 7 and Sacred Heart 3. This is Colonial Football on AM 73 WPIT Pittsburgh and on the World Wide Web. Quick timeout, and the officials let him play. Levchik rifles one down to the 10-yard line. A curl in by Opio Gary. Went up high, had both hands on the ball, but came down empty. Good double coverage on the play again, and Victor Benson might have rifled that ball loose. Also coming over Pete Athens, who has a pick in this ball game. And again, when you look at it, Marty, that might have been a catchable ball, but Opio did have to take a shot.
Yeah, Pete Athens was out there looking for him, and he was ready to deliver a shot if Opio would have hauled that ball in. I think the Colonial offense feeling somewhat confident. They're throwing the ball quite a bit here early in the first or second quarter. 10 passes already that Levchik has attempted.
Play action. Levchik wants to throw. Has time. Floats one. Gary, a bobble try at the ball. He tried a little basket catch with the right hand and then tried to pull it into his waist, and it bounced off his belt buckle and onto the AstroTurf, incomplete.
Yeah, Tim Levchik putting a little air under that one. Opio Gary was lined up on the right-hand numbers on the field. He went down the field about 7 yards and just cut across, and he was open right in front of Kaheem Cowan, the Sacred Heart cornerback, and he just couldn't pull that one in.
It is third down and long for Robert Morris now. 3rd and 10.
7th play of the drive.
Ball sitting at the Sacred Heart 30-yard line. Out of the pro eye, Gary comes in motion to the right. Pitch and a sweep. Dorsett turns it around the right side of the 25, ahead of the 23-yard line, and Sam is spotted down there. Bringing him down from behind on the play. Basil Mitchell, it looked like, who's playing in a linebacker role right now, and it will be 4th down and about 3 yards to go for Robert Morris. And again, Jeff Carlo comes onto the field. This will be his second attempt for a field goal today. His first one went awry. It was short from 50 yards. This time it'll be a 41-yard attempt, right to left kick from the far hash mark. Mangus puts it down. Carlo puts his foot into it. It's high, it's tall, it's end over end, and it will come through the pipes and good. So Robert Morris extends its lead to 10-3 over Sacred Heart. 10:22 to play, second period. We'll be back after a 1-minute timeout on the Robert Morris Colonial Football Network with the Colonials up 10-3.
UPIT Pittsburgh.
Here's the run-up and the kickoff by Jeff Carlo from the 35. Down to the left side of the field from our vantage point. Kaheem Cowan runs under it at the 12. Comes near side 20, up to the 25, 30, 35, and finally tackled from behind on the play at the 37-yard line for Robert Morris. Jermaine Kyler came looking for him, and so did Jeremy Segola.
28-yard return. That's another big return for the Sacred Heart offense. And Chris, Sacred Heart offense doesn't huddle on their first play. When they come to start a drive, they come right out and go right to the line of scrimmage, and here they do it again.
right into formation. 10-12 to play. Second quarter, Robert Morris has a 10-3 lead over Sacred Heart on the road.
See if Sacred Heart puts the ball up a little bit on this drive, Chris. They've only attempted 5 passes. Let's see if they try to go to the pass now that they're down 7 points.
Old Fredders drops back. He's going to give off. They're going to run the ball. Marvin Royal around the left side. Royal turns the corner at the 40. He shed a tackle attempt by Reggie Chambers, but was run to the sideline on the far side by Jamon Riff of Robert Morris. But he'll pick up a good 7 yards on that carry. And now we see why Marvin Royal was able to pick up 300 last week.
He was the Northeast Conference Player of the Week, and he was run out of bounds by the Northeast Conference Defensive Player of the Week, Jamon Riff of Robert Morris.
And incidentally, the newcomer of the week in the conference is in the ball game as well, tight end Brent Hockenberry of Robert Morris.
Yes, second week in a row, he's picked up that honor.
Second down and 3 for Sacred Heart. Tight end Wilkinson comes off the line left, goes in motion, and goes down into the stance to the right. Now the give, straight up the middle. This is the fullback, Brandon Graham, twisting his way for the first down, out to the Sacred Heart 47-yard line.
Chris, we need to start seeing some plays made by the Robert Morris defensive line. We're seeing too many tackles made by defensive backs and linebackers. See if that defensive line can't get a little more penetration up the field and try to at least slow down Marvin Royal coming out of that backfield.
Well, on that play, on short yardage, it was Matt Grayson who made the stop for the Colonials, aided by Reggie Chambers. They're going to bring the sticks out to measure the down. I thought he had it up in deep, but they're going to spot it back at the 46.
I had him easy on the first down. Yeah, about a half a football. He's got it.
Still has it. 9:22 left, second quarter. Robert Morris, 10, Sacred Heart 3 here in the Northeast Conference battle between the unbeatens. The Colonials 7-0 overall, 5-0 in the conference. Sacred Heart 5-0 in the NEC. Overall, they are 8-0. Under first-year head coach Jim Fleming, the former assistant at Villanova. Here's a slot right formation for the Pioneers. Old Fredders takes the snap, gives off Royal, straight blast up the middle, 50, 45, straight ahead to the 40, to the 39, and finally Ray Thomas makes the tackle on the play, along with Jason Hempstead of the Colonials, but another big play and a first down for Royal and the Sacred Heart Pioneers.
Well, we knew this defense was susceptible to the run, Chris, and they are starting to bear that out. The Colonials allowing 150 yards rushing per game, and Marvin Royal able to get that ball inside the 40-yard line.
First and 10 from just outside the Colonial 39.
Gain of 15 on that play. He now has 62 yards on the day.
Deveron Johnson to the right side. High backfield. Old Fredders gives off, and this is a new runner into the fray. This is Jason Bonatis, and he is hit at the 40 and thrown down maybe behind the line of scrimmage. Ray Thomas was there, came out of the secondary again, that smoking strong safety of the Robert Morris Colonials, and Reggie Chambers in on the assist.
Well, Jim Fleming trying to change things up a little bit. Bonatis only has 12 carries on the year. That's just his 13th all year, and he doesn't gain anything.
Now they bring in another new fullback. This is Mike Guarino. He'll stand in front of Bonatis, and Bonatis will get the handoff again. He was hit behind the line of scrimmage by Matt Grayson, and Grayson couldn't hold on, and he was able to spring loose for a gain of 5 straight ahead. Finally, Ray Thomas and Reggie Chambers bring him down at the 35.
Okay, they've got me scanning the sidelines here, and I see Marvin Royal standing there at about the 48. Not sure why he's out of the game, but nevertheless.
He's trying to mix it up, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, Brandon Graham, their starting fullback, does check back in. New wideout in there is Wayne Jackson. He's 89. He's going over to the far side of play. Now they set up that diamond or triangular triple set to the right side, if you will. Holtfretter. Long count this time on third down. He takes a straight deep drop. Chased by Matt Grayson and sacked at the 40-yard line. Grayson tracked him down like a heat-seeking missile that time. He tried to curl around to the left side of the formation, and Grayson was there on his ankles. Big play for the Colonial defense. It's fourth down and 11 now, and Mike Kraft is in to punt for Sacred Heart. He will stand inside his own territory at the 46. Nobody back deep yet for the Colonials. What's going on here? Maybe they don't trust them.
Well, they are confused. They are confused right now. The punt defense team is not even on the field. Smoke Thomas is back deep. Nick Downs should be back deep. Colonials be wise just to let this ball go.
Well, I think that's what Smoke is going to do. He's going to let it bounce to the 3 and will roll into the end zone and that was close to being down by Dan Asherson, number 15, who was streaking downfield. That ball bounced just to his left, but he couldn't catch up with it, and it did pick up speed after hopping off the AstroTurf. So the Colonial defense stayed out there just in case, but you're right, confusion prevailed there. But fortunately, nothing goes awry, and the Colonials will bring the offense back out onto the field after the touchback is ruled. They'll have the ball at their own 20-yard line with 6:28 to play in the first half. Chris Shovlin with Marty Galossi on the call today here in Fairfield, Connecticut, where the sky is now becoming a little more overcast. The sun is hiding behind some clouds that are moving in. And that cold front that hit Pittsburgh yesterday is starting to make its way to the East Coast today. Sam Dorsett trying to run that football around the right side end will pick up maybe 2 yards, and that is all as Colonials lead in this ball game 10-3 here in the second period.
Hard to tell, Chris, if the Colonials were either thinking that Sacred Heart might go for it on fourth down or if they did have the improper personnel. I don't think they have the entire squad out there in improper, so I think they may have thought that Sacred Heart had something up their sleeve, so that's why the defense stayed out there.
Well, it paid off for Robert Morris, no doubt about that. Now a split backfield and a slot to the left side. Levchik wants to throw. He zings one to the right, and it's incomplete. Dave Bourne, the intended receiver, check that, I should say, Andrew Gill, the tight end, was rolled over. That ball thrown behind him at the 32-yard line. It's going to bring up a quick 3rd down and 8 situation now for Robert Morris. And Levchik awaiting a play from the bench. They're going to bring Gill back in from the sideline. He was out for a moment there. Nick Daniel will step off the field, the fullback.
You know, Chris, Joe Walton was so pleased with his quarterback last week, Tim Levchik, seeing him after the game, just the way Tim played his team. Not only did he brought him back, that was one thing, but having to go into that 35-mile-per-hour wind to do it, I think he was really pleased with the way Tim kept his composure, and he had a big second half. He threw for 311 yards on the day.
Oh, he was poised. Gary, stutter step motion right. Levchik back to pass, strong rush. And as he lets go of the ball, he was hit, and it's intercepted by Kaheem Cowan at the 40. He goes to the 30, to the 20, down to the 15. Cowan with a nice move, juke steps down to the 8-yard line, and Sacred Heart has the ball in the Robert Morris red zone here as Levchik is picked for the second time today.
Well, we were just talking about his poise, Chris, and then he overthrows his receiver, Sean Martin, and now Sacred Heart in just incredible field position. Kaheem Cowan with a big return on the interception.
Brian Pulaski made that play happen. He was coming on a safety blitz from the right side of the defensive line, and he nailed Levchik right when he let that ball go, and Cowan makes the pick, and now Sacred Heart's in business, and they could tie this game up here. Let's see if the defense can hold again. Here comes Holtvetter. Takes the snap. He's going to fire a fade into the end zone, and it is caught, and now they're going to rule incomplete. Nick Downs got underneath the intended receiver, Deverin Johnson, and popped that ball away from him and forced him to the sidelines.
Yeah, I think the official, the linesman on the play, saying that Johnson was juggling that ball as he went out of bounds, and boy, Nick Downs giving away a whole ton of height. They tried to throw that lob pass. Deverin Johnson goes 6'6". Nick Downs just 5'9", 9 inches given away on that one.
Now, Sacred Heart will try it again. 2nd down and goal from the 9. 5:33 to go, second period. Here's a run. Royal will turn it around the left side. He's got a lot of room. Royal to the 5, to the 4, and out of bounds on the far side of play. Run out by Jason Hempstead and Smoke Thomas of the Colonials. Also over there, Joe Austin and Reggie Chambers. Boy, does he draw a crowd. This Marvin Royal, 302 yards last week against Iona in a big, big win, 46-7 by Sacred Heart. And now they're tackling with unbeaten Robert Morris, like themselves, atop the Northeast Conference at 5-0. They spot the football at the 4-yard line. It's 3rd and goal from there. Now Gonzalez comes out one-on-one with Nick Downs to the right side. This time Johnson will go to the left against Joe Austin. Rest of the Colonials are stacked on the line. From the 4, the give to Royal. Turns it right side. He's got blocking in front of him. He dives in to the right corner of the end zone for the touchdown. And Sacred Heart is within 1 point of the Robert Morris Colonials with 5:19 to play here in the second period. And the point after upcoming.
Well, Chris, you keep giving teams chances and chances, and they're eventually gonna cash in. And that's what Royal did from 4 yards out. I mean, Sacred Heart going to go all of 9 yards on that play. And now what we have going on here on the extra point is the Colonials have too many men on the field. Ray Thomas trying to get off the field, runs out through the side of the end zone, but the Colonials are going to get a flag for having too many men on the field. And Sacred Heart may entertain going for 2-point conversion on this one because they'll have it from the 1.5-yard line.
That's correct, and that's what they're talking about right now with their head coach, Jim Fleming.
Now they're just going to go ahead and decline it, and they're going to kick the extra point.
Tim Redican is the kicker, and the holder is Mike Toto. Here's the placement. The kick is on its way, and we've got a tie ball game. 5:19 left, second quarter. It's Robert Morris 10, Sacred Heart 10. We'll return in a minute on the Robert Morris Colonial Football Network. 5:19 left, second period. Sacred Heart ties the game at 10-10 here in the Northeast Conference this afternoon.
Chris, this game's starting to take on the overtones of the last game the Colonials lost back on September 18th of 1999. We'll talk about that a little bit as we go on.
Knuckleball kickoff, fielded in the air in both hands. Jermaine Kyler, and Kyler loses the ball. Now it's picked up by Ray Thomas at the 40 to the 45-50. Look at Smoke going over the midfield stripe to the 40-yard line, and finally brought down from behind. But Jermaine Kyler, one of the up men, grabbed that ball in midair, trying to return it. He got popped and lost it. Smoke saved the day for Robert Morris, returning it to the Sacred Heart 41.
Smoke Thomas makes more big plays than you'll ever know, Chris. And he picks that ball up and advances it another 25 yards, and the Colonials now take over 1st and 10 at the Sacred Heart 41. Almost another devastating mistake for Robert Morris, but Ray Thomas bails them out.
Now Sean Martin and Opie O'Gary go to the right side. Tim Levchick with a staggered backfield behind him, a broken eye. Pitch and a sweep to the near side. Nick Daniel carries the football down to the 35, tripped up from behind on the play by Greg Capruso of Sacred Heart.
Chris, the reason this game's taking on the overtones of that game that Robert Morris lost to Valparaiso last year, of course, the Colonials have won 14 straight since that game. Valparaiso beat Robert Morris 17-13 that day. The Crusaders, 3 scoring drives that day, 12 plays, 49 yards. Today, Sacred Heart's 2 scoring drives in his 10-10 tie, 7 plays, 14 yards.
Will they snap out of it? That's the question you have to ask yourself here. Here's Levchick wanting to throw. Steps up into the pocket. Hit as he lets go of it. Rifles it downfield. It's incomplete. Ryan Fulmer again had it in his hands, but Levchick had to deliver it quickly at the 15-yard line, and the Colonial receivers just aren't hanging on to balls today.
And you just wonder if Tim Levchick is going to get up every single time. I mean, he took a shot from behind. He knew it. He knew he was holding the ball just a little bit too long. But, yeah, his receivers have to make him, bail him out. I mean, he's the guy back there taking the shots. They need to make a tough catch here and there and help bail out the big 6'6" junior quarterback. Now 4 straight incompletions for Levchick.
Sorry, Marty, that quickly. Robert Morris has it 3rd down and 4.
Crowd really getting into it now, Chris.
They're loving it. Game is tied at 10. Pitch, toss, sweep, left. Dorsett cuts in, 30, down to the 29. 1st down, Robert Morris Colonials. Sam Dorsett had to find some room on his own out there, although he did have Adam Sowers ahead of him blocking for him, but it was mano a mano on that run.
Yeah, Adam Sowers, nice block on Kaheem Cowan, the cornerback trying to come up and make a play, but Kaheem's given away about 115 pounds on that one, so no real chance at a 5-yard pickup for Sam Dorsett and a Colonial 1st down.
2 scores for Sacred Heart in this game, both from Levchick interceptions, unfortunately. Athens had the first pick, and then Cowan had the second one. First one resulted in a 38-yard field goal by Tim Redican. The second one, a touchdown by Marvin Royal. And now the Colonials going to run the ball again to the right side, and it is Dorsett. And Dorsett will try to cut it around the right end. He'll find room down to the 27-yard line. Finally roped up by Jason Jarrett after a gain of 3. We have 3:35 left. Clock is winding quickly here in the second period of play. Robert Morris 10, Sacred Heart 10.
Dorsett now over 800 yards on the season, Chris. As we said, going for the 1,000-yard plateau, and you said only 2 other Colonials with 1,000 yards in a season, the great Tim Hall and Donald Dorsey.
Back to pass, Levchick. Whips it right side, caught by Sean Martin at the 20. Roams to the 15. struggles his way down to the 11-yard line and is finally forced out of bounds on the far side with heavy whistles blowing. Ryan Pulaski didn't want to let him go, either did Jason Jarrett. Robert Morris picks up a badly needed first down, and the Colonials need to finish this drive. That's something they haven't done much of today so far, although they did get a touchdown by Brent Hockenberry, a 7-yarder from Tim Levchik on a 69-yard drive to win 8 plays in 3 minutes and 50 seconds early on in this contest. But it's been empty set since, except for the Carlo field goal.
Nice blitz pickup on the block by Sam Dorsett, picking up Craig Caperso from his outside linebacker position. That allowed Tim Levchik just a little bit of extra time that he needed to get that pass off to Sean Martin.
Fulmer left, Gary right. Gary in motion to the set. Here's the give on the sprint draw. Sam Dorsett inside the 10 and blasted backwards as he reached the 9-yard line. Coyote Mayoa, their big middle linebacker, came in and put a lick on Sudden Sam. Also in there on the play that time for Sacred Heart was Michael Burbridge, only a freshman defensive lineman. They brought him in as a backup. Now Burbridge, shaken up on the play, is going to trot off, although gimpy. And Eric Penny, who's played well so far in this second quarter, is back in on the line.
This is the 7th play of the drive, a drive that started at the Sacred Heart 41 when a very opportunistic Ray Thomas picked up the fumble on the kickoff return by Jermaine Kyler and advanced the ball all the way to Sacred Heart's 41.
2nd down and 7 from inside the 10. Levchik, a toss to Dorsett to the left. He cuts it up the middle. Dorsett hit at the 7 and driven backwards again by Coyote Mayoa and also Eric Penny, the man of whom I just spoke.
Yeah, Eric Penny hanging on for dear life. Pulling down Sam Dorsett from behind. Still Dorsett able to pick up, maybe about a yard, maybe 2.
It is 3rd down and 5 for Robert Morris. And Levchik goes to the bench to get a play. 1:37 to go on a winding clock here in the first half.
Mayoa had 11 tackles last week against Iona, a team high, and he's trying to duplicate that today.
Backs are split wide. Oh, Levchik drew them off sides, and there's going to be a penalty against Sacred Heart, I do believe, here. I believe they did encroach here, and let's see what the officials will say. That's the key call here. Is Mark Finelli is the referee today. Richard Feeney, Anthony Siglione, Kenneth Broom, Stephen Kirk, Bruce Williams all on the field. And it will be encroachment against Sacred Heart. That's going to move the ball half the distance, and that will bring it down to the 4-yard line. And it's going to bring up 3rd down and about 1.5 yards to go for Robert Morris here. Now they tighten up. Kevin Jordan and Ryan Swafford come in as the backs. They're the sure hands and the Bulls. Gary, the wingman right, comes in motion left. Levchik gives off. Swafford tippy-toes through the line, cuts down to the left side. Touchdown, Robert Morris. From 4 yards away, Ryan Swafford scores with 1:05 left in the second period of play, giving Robert Morris a 16-10 lead over stubborn Sacred Heart.
Nice to see Ryan Swafford get the ball down there. He's only had 4 carries this year, and Nick Daniel has pretty much taken over that fullback position that Ryan started last year, but it's nice to see him come in at a key time and pick up a key touchdown from 4 yards out.
Now Jeff Carlo is on for the extra point kick. Alan Mangus, the holder. Brad Carrott is the long snapper. They put it together. The kick is high. It is through the poles and good. With 1:05 left in the first half, we'll take a break with the score. Robert Morris, 17, Sacred Heart 10 on the Colonial Football Network. .105 to play first half. Robert Morris getting set to kick off the Sacred Heart again. And Jeff Carlo has it teed up at the 35 off to our right. He will kick it right to left. Here's the run-up and the boot. Carlo undercuts it again. End over end. Kaheem Cowan fields it at the 7, goes far side 10. 15, 20. Cowan, a speedy back, up to the 25. And somehow he is able to spring loose. Although a penalty flag is down, he will burst all the way up to the 38-yard line on that return.
That's got to be an illegal block somewhere downfield, and I think this one is going to come back. The official throwing his flag at about the Sacred Heart 30.
We're inside a minute to play here in the first half, and it is. Is that a holding call on the return that I saw?
Yes, he did make a holding call. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not an illegal block in the back, but holding.
Yep, we're seeing a hold on that return. That is the call by referee Mark Finelli, so that will knock the Pioneers backwards. Both these teams, we've said this and we'll underline it, both undefeated. Sacred Heart, 8-0, a brilliant comeback from last year's performance. It was lackluster, to say the least. Robert Morris knocked these guys off 48-0 in Moon Township last year. Today, the Colonials had to fight to get ahead before the end of this first half, and we still have just under a minute to play, and the Sacred Heart team is dangerous. Let's see what they can do with it here. Here is Royal running the football on a straight give off left tackle. Royal will gallop up to the 19, and he'll be tied up there by Craig Herlin of the Robert Morris Colonials, and assisting him, Reggie Chambers.
Sacred Heart has all 3 of its timeouts remaining, but since they are so deep in their own territory, it's going to be hard for them to use them until they can actually punch it out. The last thing you want to do is give Robert Morris the ball back.
6-yard gain by Royal. It's 2nd down and 4 for Sacred Heart. Now Gonzalez is out wide to the left side. They will bring to the right side Deverin Johnson. They're going to run it to Royal once again. Tries to turn it around the left end. He's going to find some room. He is close to the first down marker and then pushed backwards by the Colonial defense. Good surge on the play that time on the far side. And I'm looking for a number here. Looks like Jamon Ripp, number 1, and that's indeed who it was who popped him backwards. And they're going to say that Royal did not make it to the stick for the first down. We have 13.4 seconds left in this first half of play with the Colonials up by a touchdown, 17-10. Oh, now they do move the stick ahead. So the yard marker was in error, and they have given him the first down. So it is at the 29-yard line. I thought I was right the first time. It doesn't matter because they're going to let the clock wind, and Sacred Heart will not take another snap. Good ball game for Sacred Heart here on their home field today. They haven't really needed the ball all that much. They put 10 points on the board because of Robert Morris miscues so far in this first half of play, Marty. And the Colonials just have to get that alarm clock to sound if they want to have any hopes of winning this ball game. They're up 17-10. Don't let me get everybody nervous back in Pittsburgh just yet. But still, Robert Morris is not playing the kind of game it needs to play to beat a team like Sacred Heart.
No, Chris, and when you're a good team, and let's make no bones about it, Robert Morris is a good team, and don't take this the wrong way, you can afford to make some mistakes if you're just a casual fan, but if you're in the coaching ranks, you're saying to yourself, man, we really, really made some big mistakes. We said it before. Sacred Heart's got 10 points in this game, and they're 10 gift points. 7 plays, 14 yards on the drive. Robert Morris has not made them work for their scores. And Sacred Heart could have had more on the block punt. I mean, they started with the ball on the Colonial 24 on that block punt on the first series. So hand it to the Colonial defense. They've come to play. They can only do so much. And when Cowan returned that interception down to the Robert Morris 9, it was only so much that this defense could be asked to do, and they couldn't keep Sacred Heart out of the end zone. So a 17-10 Robert Morris first half lead. They'll go in and talk about it here, about what they need to do in the second half, shore some things up, and try not to make those same mistakes in the second half.
And we'll take our halftime break as well. With Marty Gallosi, I'm Chris Shublin here in Fairfield, Connecticut this afternoon. Clouds are starting to build, and Robert Morris has a 17-10 lead over the Sacred Heart University Pioneers. Stay tuned. Our halftime features come up next right here on the Colonial Football Network.
You're listening to the Robert Morris Colonials.
Once again, we welcome you back to Fairfield. Chris Shublin and Marty Gallosi. Robert Morris leads Sacred Heart by a score of 17-10. And while we have a moment, let's head back to the studios in Pittsburgh at WPIT. Here's Adam Gusky with scores of other games.
Thank you very much, Chris. First of all, in NCAA Division I AA, Duquesne leading Siena in the first quarter 14-0. In Northeast Conference action, Monmouth 7, Albany 7, Wagner 7, St. John 0, St. Francis and Central Connecticut State knotted up at 0. All those scores in the first quarter. In Division 1A, Miami 21, Virginia Tech 0. That one at halftime. Michael Vick is in the game, though, trying to give Virginia Tech a boost. Boston College 21, Temple 0 at halftime as well. Syracuse 17, WVU 14 late in the second quarter. Iowa leading Penn State 10-0 in the second quarter. Michigan State 13, Ohio State 3 in the second quarter. Indiana 14, Illinois 7 in the second. And in the first quarter, Minnesota 12, Wisconsin 3. That's all I have. And with the score, Robert Morris 17, Sacred Heart 10. Let's send it back to Chris for the halftime show.
All right, Adam, thank you much. 17-10, as you said, Robert Morris in the lead over the Sacred Heart Pioneers in a battle of the unbeaten here in the Northeast Conference. Well, it was a rough start to the ball game here today. Robert Morris had the football first, and in its possession had Bruce Rubenberg punt blocked by Brian Pulaski. However, Sacred Heart moving downfield missed a 48-yard field goal attempt by Tim Redican, and that came at around the 11-minute mark of the first period of play. So Robert Morris came away unscathed. Meanwhile, the Colonials did finally get on the board with 8:02 to go in the first period of play when tight end Brent Hockenberry, the Northeast Conference Rookie of the Week, or Newcomer of the Week, if you will, caught a 7-yard scoring strike from Tim Levchik. Jeff Carlo made it a 7-0 victory, or I should say 7-0 lead over Sacred Heart. That drive went 69 yards in 8 plays in 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Robert Morris got the ball back after Sacred Heart punted and really could have gone up 14-0 in the game. Levchik rifled a shot right over the middle of a post pattern to Ryan Fulmer at the 5-yard line, but Fulmer could not hold on. That drive ended up in a missed Robert Morris 50-yard field goal attempt by Jeff Carlo with around 4 minutes to go in the first period of play. Robert Morris again got the ball back. Tim Levchik then tried to throw in trouble there. He was being grabbed in the backfield. They were trying to sack him. He let go of the football, and Athens intercepted him. This is with 11.6 seconds to go in the first period of play. Sacred Heart was able to score a couple of plays into the second period with 13:51 to go in the first half. Tim Redican booted a 38-yard field goal that brought Robert Morris, or brought Sacred Heart, I should say, to within 7-3 of Robert Morris. The Colonials got on the board with 10:22 to go in the second period. Jeff Carlo knocked in a 41-yard field goal. That drive went 50 yards, 8 plays in 3 minutes 29 seconds. The Colonials built on their lead. They were up 10-3 at that moment. But then Robert Morris with the ball back and driving again. Tim Levchik intercepted by Kaheem Cowan. He returned it deep into Colonial territory with 5.5 minutes to go in the first half. And then just 3 plays later, and from the 9-yard line, that drive started there after Cowan returned it there. Marvin Royal scored from 4 yards out. Redican's kick made it a tie game at 10-10. But fortunately, the Colonials were able to score with 1:05 to go in the second period when Ryan Swafford pounded the ball in from deep in Sacred Heart territory from 4 yards away. The Colonials drove the ball 41 yards in 8 plays, 4 minutes and 14 seconds, and they polish up that drive with a Carlo kick. 17-10 is where we are right now. Robert Morris in the lead by a touchdown.
First half statistics, Chris. First downs, Robert Morris 12, Sacred Heart 5. Rushing attempts, Colonials 21 for 155. Pretty good day on the ground in the first half for Robert Morris. Sacred Heart 20 carries for 90 yards. Net yards passing, Colonials 154 to Sacred Heart 78. But check that, Robert Morris is that's the net yards rushing. 154 to 78 in favor of Robert Morris. Net yards passing, Colonials in favor 83 to just 7 for Sacred Heart. Justin Holtfreder just 2 of 6 for 7 yards in the first half. Colonials' Tim Levchik was 8 for 17 for 83 yards. But again, as you mentioned, the 2 interceptions. Total yards at the half, Chris. Robert Morris 237, Sacred Heart 85, and the Colonials lead by only 7 points. That's unfortunate if you're a Robert Morris fan. Time of possession, again, very much in favor of Robert Morris, 18 minutes to 10 minutes. And third down conversions, a stat that I always like to look at to determine the winning and losing teams. I think turnovers is another big one. The Colonials have 2, Sacred Heart has none. Third down conversions, Robert Morris 3 of 8. Sacred Heart just 1 out of 6 on third down in this game. Marvin Royal, the game's leading. Check that. Sam Dorsett, the game's leading rusher, 16 carries for 82 yards. Marvin Royal has 14 for 80 yards. And the Colonials' Brent Hockenberry, 4 receptions for 30 yards. And that's what we have here in the first half.
Well, Marty, I'm glad you like to look at turnovers because that is a telling story in a lot of ball games, and this is one of those games. Robert Morris, 2 Levchik interceptions. Sacred Heart, 2 scores. A Redican 38-yard field goal and a Marvin Royal 4-yard touchdown. Couple of keys here. It's not all Levchik. Both interceptions came when Levchik was hit as he let go of the ball. The Colonial offensive line needs to protect their quarterback a little bit better. And I'll tell you another thing. A lot of times here we've seen Levchik throwing way late, knowing that he was holding onto the ball too long. The Colonial receivers are going to have to fight to get open, and when they do get open, they're going to have to catch the football. That is a big key component in a passing game, and he's had a couple of drop balls today.
Well, yes, you're absolutely right. And like I said, I mean, the guy's back there taking shot after shot, and if he puts the ball on the mark, you got to make the play. And even if he doesn't put it right on the mark, you're still going to make the play,
right,
because you got to reward him for hanging in there and taking those shots. And Sacred Heart is bringing the heat from the corners. Especially, we saw Brian Pulaski. He's made a couple big plays in this game, Chris. The blocked punt, which probably in all rights should have been a bigger play for Sacred Heart. They probably should have come away with points on that drive. And the pressure, as you said, on the one left check interception, where he brought the pressure from the outside, and that led to the interception by number 1, Kaheem Cowan, and that set up Sacred Heart's only touchdown in the first half.
17-10, Robert Morris in the lead here at halftime at Fairfield, Connecticut. Playing the Sacred Heart Pioneers on their home stadium surface today, an AstroTurf facility, campus field here in Fairfield. And as we mentioned, we had brilliant sunshine to start the day. All of a sudden, the cold front has moved in. The temperature's starting to drop. The clouds are covering the sun's light now, and it's growing a little darker here as the day progresses. And we're not even into mid-afternoon here in Connecticut just yet. Chris Shovlin with Marty Gallosi, 17-10. Robert Morris leads at the intermission. We will return after this timeout on the Robert Morris Colonial Football Network.
Pittsburgh.
Once again, welcome back to Fairfield. Chris Shovlin, Marty Gallosi. It is halftime, and the Robert Morris Colonials have a 17-10 advantage over the tough Sacred Heart Pioneers here in a Northeast Conference showdown featuring the two unbeaten teams remaining in the conference here today. Before we talk further about the recap of the first half and going over the scoring and talking about getting ready for the second half, let's go back to Pittsburgh, check the scores from other NCAA football games this afternoon. Adam Guskey's in the studios. Adam.
Thank you very much, Chris. Good timing on that one. First of all, got some updates in the Northeast Conference. Albany 14, Monmouth 10. That one in the second quarter. Also in the second quarter in the NEC, Wagner 14, St. John's 3. In the Big East, Miami 21, Virginia Tech 0. That one early in the third quarter. Boston College leading Temple in the third quarter 21-0. At halftime, Syracuse 17, WVU 13. All games in the Big Ten are at halftime right now. Michigan State leading Ohio State 13-10. Indiana leading, tied now with Illinois 21-21. Iowa leading Penn State by 10, 13-3. Minnesota 12, Wisconsin 10. That one at halftime as well. In the SEC, Memphis leading Tennessee 10-3 in the third quarter. Florida tied with Vanderbilt right now at 10 in the second quarter. And at halftime, Mississippi State 7, Kentucky 0. That one in the first quarter. With the score, Robert Morris 17, Sacred Heart 10. Let's send it back to Chris and Marty in the halftime show.
Gotcha, Adam. Thank you. Marty, we talked so much in the pregame show today about the turnaround that the Sacred Heart team has enjoyed from last season to this. They were picked ninth by the coaches in the Northeast Conference coming into the season, and here they are undefeated. I think we're seeing why.
Yes, we are, Chris. They were very opportunistic in the first half, and by all rights, as we said, the scoring drives did not cover a lot of distance for the Pioneers, but they have made some of their breaks by putting pressure on the quarterback. They've been able to force 2 interceptions, and one of which led to their only touchdown of the first half. So they've been very good in that regard. The Colonials just need to stay away from the mistakes in the second half. They need to concentrate and focus. And you heard Coach Walton say it in the pregame show. We have not yet played a full 60-minute game, and I think even with this game only halfway over, win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter. I think he'll agree that this would not be classified as a game where they've played their full 60 minutes. They can play better, but in their defense, Sacred Heart has caused some of that chaos, and they've taken advantage of it, and more power to them. They're in it at halftime, and hey, they got to feel a lot better about where they are right now than where they have been in the past against the Colonials. As we said, the 2 times these 2 teams have played, they've been very, very big scores in favor of the Colonials. So we'll see what happens here in the second half. I think that the Colonials can just, I don't want to say salt this one away, but I think they have they've established that they can run the football, that they can pass protect well enough. We saw a great pass pickup, blitz pickup by Sam Dorsett right there at the end of the first half that led to a Robert Morris touchdown. So, or I should say a field goal. So, we'll see what happens with the Colonials here in the second half. Actually, that did lead to a touchdown. So, do a good job of protecting your quarterback, stay away from the mental errors and try to stay the course and see what you can do with this one.
And again, get better pass blocking from the line and get your receivers to catch the football. That's what the Colonials didn't have going for them in the first half of play for the most part. 17-10, Robert Morris leads at Sacred Heart, and if there's any consolation, Marty, and I don't want to jinx them by saying this, but the Colonials have played better football in the second half of their games all through this year so far.
Yes, and I think not only that, Chris, but the Colonials, you look at their drives in the first half. 8 plays, 69 yards, leads to a touchdown. 8 plays, 50 yards, leads to a field goal. 8 plays, 41 yards, leads to a touchdown. This is a Sacred Heart defense that in the last 6 games is allowing less than 9 points a game. They've allowed only 53 points in the last 6 games, and 28 of that was in the overtime victory over Albany a couple of weeks ago. So the Colonial offense has to feel good about what they were able to accomplish in the first half, albeit with the turnovers. And again, the defense, I thought, played very, very well in the first half. They were able to put some pressure on Justin Holtfreder, sack him once or twice. They kept Marvin Royal in check. Heck, you talk about keeping a guy like that in check. He had 209 yards in the first half last week against Iona, and the Colonials hold him to 82 in the first half today, so they got to feel a little measure of goodness in that regard. So the second half, stay away from the mistakes. I think at the very least, Chris, you have kept Sacred Heart in the game to the extent that, hey, they're only down 7 points. I guarantee you Jim Fleming's in that locker room right now saying, you can play with these guys. Mm-hmm. Don't sell yourself short. Not only can you play with them, you can beat this team. And like I said, not to take away from their effort in the first half, but nevertheless, Sacred Heart is right in this game, and they're going to get the ball to start the second half also.
And that comes in about a minute from now. Let's take a quick break. Back with the second half kickoff after this on the Robert Morris Colonial Football Network. Here in Connecticut this afternoon, Robert Morris leads 17-10, but basketball is on the horizon. The Colonial men and women's teams both tip off their exhibition seasons this week. The women on Wednesday night, the men on Thursday night, both games at the Sewell Center. We hope to see you out there. Of course, Danny Nee and Lynn Roman hosted the big Colonial tip-off luncheon just a couple of days ago. Rousing success. A lot of folks out to see and hear what the Colonials are going to be all about this year basketball-wise, and brand new head coaches at Robert Morris.
Basketball, and hey, it'll be here before you know it.
I was impressed. You had half of the Cannon brothers there. Henry Cannon showed up.
Yes,
it was good to see Henry. He and I share hometowns along with his brother Ellis. And he and Ellis, of course, very, very instrumental in, speaking of basketball, getting the Midland tip-off, or I should say the Midland Rite Aid Basketball Classic back in gear. This is their third year now. The folks down there have done such a great job. Donnie McGlure and my father, who's the mayor of Midland, Ray Hoppe, and so many others on that committee. Very, very valuable asset to that community, and we appreciate the Cannon brothers, and we're very, very proud of them back in the hometown of Midland, PA. And, of course, that tournament is December 1st and 2nd. But now it's football time, and Carlo's going to drill one all the way down to the end zone 3 yards deep, and Kaheem Cowan won't return it. Now we've got a flag flying late after the ball went into the end zone way up near the 40-yard line, and we could see a personal foul call here.
Okay, another big play by Ray Thomas, and this one he got knocked on his keister by number 55, Eric Penny, and number 45, Coyote Mayowa. They both just double-teamed him at the 40-yard line. The ball had sailed way out of the end zone, just absolutely no call for that by the two Sacred Heart players, and the official right on the play to call it. And that's a big penalty. That's going to back Sacred Heart up to their 10-yard line. Personal foul against those two young men.
Mark Finelli just waved it against Robert Morris, but it does indeed go the other way. He just had the wrong hand going the wrong way, that's all. But the Colonials will back Sacred Heart way up there. And, yeah, they're trying to take Smoke out of the game here, I guess. And Smoke, they know how valuable he is. Ray Thomas, as you mentioned early on in the broadcast, Marty, a little bit of a stomach flu last night. Even the coaches, some of the coaches suspecting maybe something that he ate that he didn't agree with, or didn't agree with him, some food poisoning, but he's okay today.
Smoke makes more big plays in a subtle way than you'll ever know. He's one of those guys that, it's a trite statement, but they don't show up on the stat sheet. And when it comes to that, actually his do show up on the stat sheet. Come to think of it, he leads the team in tackles.
And what do they say when there's smoke? There's fire in the eyes, I can tell you that. All right, here we go. Sacred Heart with the ball, first down. And it'll be Holtfretter back to pass. He's going to throw a slant in over the middle. It's caught. Man coming out of the backfield with a football and a big gain all the way to the 34-yard line. Hauling it in, Douglas Jeffrey. And a big play and a big first down for Sacred Heart, getting themselves out of a hole.
That's the first down for Sacred Heart via the pass, and easily the longest completion of the day for Holtfretter, who'd only completed 2 passes for 9 yards going into that completion. He gets it all the way out to the 34-yard line, good for 24 yards to Doug Jeffrey.
Now Gonzalez and Johnson come to the left side. I backfield. Royal dots the I behind Brandon Graham. Holtfretter drops back, gives off to Royal. Big opening on the left. He's up to the 40, bounces off one man, and comes to the 43-yard line. Ray Smoke Thomas was there. Joe Austin was there for Robert Morris. Also Craig Herland and Reggie Chambers. But that was a big opening. You could have driven that proverbial PGT truck through that one on the left side of the line. It'll be a nice pickup of about 9 yards, second down and 1 for Sacred Heart. Deverin Johnson, wide right side, is the receiver. Andy Gonzalez, the slot man. And we've got Royal running the football to the right. He's tripped up by Jamon Riff. Just got him around the shoestrings that time at the 40. He fell forward to the 41-yard line, or close to that point. But that will be a loss of yardage on the play. Matt Grayson might have been in there to help him down as well, but it looked like Jamon was the man who got him at the shoestrings.
Yes, it did, Chris. And, boy, it goes from 2nd and 1 to 3rd and 3. So Sacred Heart opting not to go up top and do something big with a 2nd and short. They keep it on the ground, and they lose 2.
Just underway, third quarter. Robert Morris has a 17-10 lead over Sacred Heart. Slot left formation. Backs are split this time. Holtfretter drops back, looks, and now rolls out to the left. He's going to be sacked. He was hit by Chris Young way back near the 32-yard line. Young got him around the heels that time and pulled him down. So that was a big defensive stand for the Robert Morris D.
Well, Holtfretter, he's a good drop-back passer, but like we said, he only takes those 3 or 5 step drops, and when he gets back and has to run around, he's not the most mobile quarterback in the world, and it was shown right there.
Mike Kraft is in punt formation. He'll accept the snap at the 18-yard line. Nick Downs to the far side. Dante settles to the near side for Robert Morris back around the 30. And Kraft hits a knuckler. It'll bounce to the 41, and on the AstroTurf, take a Sacred Heart roll out of bounds to the near side at the 33. That's where Robert Morris takes over and takes his first possession of the second half of play, leading 17-10 over the Sacred Heart Pioneers, both clubs undefeated, as we keep reminding you. And Sacred Heart scores have come off of Robert Morris interceptions.
Yeah, Chris, and not only are these two teams going for number 1 in the Northeast Conference, but Robert Morris ranked number 1 for now 9 weeks in a row in Don Hanson's Football Gazette 1AA mid-major poll, and the Pioneers, Sacred Heart, number 5 in that poll. They're trying to make their way up the rankings.
This is Dorsett running the football off left tackle on first down. Dorsett sniffs his way through the 35 and up to the 37-yard line. Stopped on the play by Pete Athens, the free safety, coming up to make a hit on him, and also in there was Jamel Keels off the defensive line, the end on the left side. It's a pickup of 5 for Sam Dorsett, though. Third quarter action, 17-10, Robert Morris leads. Ryan Fulmer back in the ball game on second down at 5. Opie O'Gary in the slot, goes in motion to the right side. Levchick drops back, gives off. Dorsett, sprint draw around the left side. He'll go to the 40, upfield to the 43-yard line, and he's close to the first down for the Colonials. Pete Athens, the free safety again, making the stop on the play.
Well, Chris, as this game starts to wind down and keeps winding toward the end, you think about what kind of experience each of these two teams has in big games, and I think the Colonials' experience speaks for itself. A big win at Dayton, which is ranked number 2nd in that mid-major poll. Number 2, a couple of weeks back, a close victory that the Colonials were able to hold on and win, a big Joe Austin interception at the end. And then, of course, the overtime victory at Wagner last week. But you can't sell Sacred Heart short. They had an overtime victory over Albany just 2 weeks ago, 35-28. That, I'm sure helped Jim Fleming's team grow up a little bit. He does have a lot of experience back from that team last year, but he also has some guys that may not have ever faced that before. So they have a little bit of big game experience, too, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out as we get toward the end of this game.
It is going to be third down and inches, as Robert Morris is just shy of that first down marker out at the 43-yard line. We have 11:39, I believe. We have some light bulbs out from the scoreboard. 11:39, it looks like, left here in the third period of play. 17-10. Colonials on third down and inches. Going to go for it here with a wing right formation. Two backs are Jordan and Swafford behind Levchik. And Levchik with a quarterback keeper lunges off the right side of the line and dashes forward for a first down out to the 44-yard line in a 1-yard gain. So the drive alive for the Robert Morris offense here. Jason Jarrett made the stop on the quarterback, Tim Levchik, the junior from Ford City, but not until he got the first down.
You know, the third quarter, Chris, has been a quarter where the Robert Morris defense has allowed only 14 points all year. They allowed only 24 points in the third last year, and that proves to be a pretty big stack coming into the game. And now the Colonial Scott Konchek limps off the field. Konchek, the big right tackle, 6'8", 320, and he's going to be replaced by Dan Zimmerman at that right tackle position.
Zimmerman played at Hopewell High School and will come over to the right side of the line. So will Sean Martin, the wide out. Opio Gary is the flanker to the left, comes in motion right now. Split backfield behind Tim Levchik on first down. Play action. Levchik stands tall, throws downfield. There's Hockenberry, and it's incomplete. Again, Hockenberry found himself loose for a moment, had to wait for the ball to come down, and Brian Pulaski was in coverage on the play and got there right on time.
Man, these two guys are right in sync with each other, Levchik and Hockenberry, and just couldn't pull that one in. But when you have a tight end, that's the dimension that Brent Hockenberry gives you. Even though he plays the tight end position, he can go down the field. He was a wide receiver at Katanning High School, and heck, he was a wide receiver when he came to camp back in early August. So he can go down the field. He's got some good speed. He might not be the guy you want in there blocking on your jumbo package, but he can go down the field and put some pressure on the defensive backfield.
Sprint draw, and Dorsett will cut it to the outside left, and Dorsett will turn it around the left corner upfield to the 47-yard line, close to the 48, and he'll find just short yardage there as Sacred Heart was up to the challenge on that one, running him out of bounds, Kaheem Cowan off the corner. And it will bring up third down and long for Robert Morris. Colonials have it third down and 6, just shy of the midfield stripe at the 48-yard line.
Dorsett closing in on 100 yards for today, Chris. He has unofficially 17 carries for 95 yards.
Now Martin to the left side. Gary flanked wide to the right. A pro set offense for Tim Levchik. On third down and 6. Levchik straight drop. Strong rush. He fires over the middle. It's incomplete. Martin went up tall, tried to bat it down to himself with the right hand and couldn't bring it in. Pete Athens on the coverage that time gave him a shot to the back. And it's fourth down and long for Robert Morris, and Jeff Carlo is on to punt the football away. Notice I said Jeff Carlo is on to punt. Bruce Rubenberg is not. Rubenberg has had a punt block today and had one block last week.
Sean Hubbard bringing the defensive pressure. He got to Tim Levchik just as Tim let go of that ball and knocked him down. Maybe threw his timing off just a little bit.
Here's the snap. Perfect. And now penalty flags fly as Carlo bangs that one deep downfield. And we'll hold it up here and find out what the story is.
I think Sacred Heart may have jumped on that one, Chris. I think they may have.
Even if the Colonials take the penalty, they still need more than 5 yards to get to the stick for the first down. And the Colonials are indeed going to take the penalty. Now that brings up another question. You bring the offense back on and try to push the ball forward. In a tight game like this, I think it might be a little bit too early for that. Huh?
Yeah, I think it's a field position proposition at this point. And they're going to go ahead and take the 5-yard penalty and give Jeff a little more breathing room. And now the ball into Sacred Heart territory.
Fourth down and a good yard, maybe a yard and a half. And Carlo will get a good snap. He's going to step right into it, pop it high. It will spiral. Coming under it is the Sacred Heart return man, Eric Hernandez, but he won't even try for it. It'll bounce on the goal line and into the end zone. Touchback ruled. And the Colonials will give the ball back to Sacred Heart. We'll take a short 60-second timeout. When we return, 17-10, the Colonials in the lead on the Robert Morris Football Network. Two quick plays by Sacred Heart. Brandon Graham running on first down and getting a first down out to the 30-yard line. Now on another first down play, they try to fly one out to the near side. Deverin Johnson trying to throw that little... what they call the fade pass when it goes into the end zone. This time it was out near the 50-yard line. Still that tall ball, and it came down too far over the sideline and out of play. Defended by Joe Austin of Robert Morris. 2nd down and 10 for Sacred Heart. Triple set left. They're all clumped together. Spin move, and now a shot over the middle is complete. The receiver, Andy Gonzalez, with a quick pop pass from the right side end spot, hauled it in, and a good shot that time by Justin Holtfretter, and again pick up about 12, 13 yards on the play. Sacred Heart has another first down.
Yes, it was a very good play by Holtfretter. Just that little 3-step drop, and he didn't have any more time than that. He had to get rid of it, and he completed it to Gonzalez for a big pickup out to the 44. First down, Sacred Heart.
Not just a 3-step drop, but a 3-step whirly-bird drop. He made the spin and then shot it. First down and 10, Sacred Heart with the ball. This is Gonzalez in motion to the left side. Eye backfield, they're going to give to Royal. He's going to run it around the left side. Royal sees Ray Thomas coming at him, tries to juke away from him. Can't do it because Reggie Chambers, Matt Grayson are all there. And they're able to rope him up. Craig Hurlin was there on the assistant. Chambers, well, I thought he was shaken up, but he's just taking a breath.
Excellent pursuit to the football by a lot of Colonials. Hurlin, Hempstead, Grayson, Chambers, all getting there in support of Smoke Thomas.
Ball is back to the 42-yard line. It is 2nd down and 11 now. Again, we want to say hi to Keith Petter, Karen Petter, also Ron and Kay Daly tuned into the Colonial Network this afternoon out of the Penn Trafford area. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Colonials are up 17-10 as we speak to you, but they're in a dogfight here at Sacred Heart. Holtfretter drops back, gives off, draw play. This is Royal rushing forward. Royal almost bumped into one of the officials, was able to use him as a shield and dive straight forward. He's going to pick up about 10 yards on that carry, but will be about a yard shy of the stick on the far side of play for the first down. He will move the ball just outside the 47. It's going to be 3rd and 1.
Nice delay play, getting the defense to come up the field, and then Holtfretter just sliding it in to Marvin Royal, and he went straight up the gut and picked up 10 yards, just short of a first down.
Single back behind Holtfretter now. They're going to send a slot to the left side, wide out, Gonzalez to the right. Holtfretter will carry on his own, try to drive it straight up the middle. On second effort, he couldn't find it on first effort. Second effort, I think he ran backwards, trying to reverse his field and cut it back upfield, and I don't think he got there. Let's see where they put it down.
Oh, Chris, I got to question that call. I mean, you got Marvin Royal, who's just ripping off big gains, and you try to sneak on 3rd and 1? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, Jim Fleming saw something that he thought he could exploit, but nevertheless, Holtfretter gets nothing, and that brings up 4th and 1 at the Robert Morris 48.
Punt team is on. Mike Kraft to boot it. He'll stand inside his own 40-yard line and kick it right to left on your radio dial with 7:36 to go, third quarter. The Colonials up 17-10. High snap. Oh, he fielded it, but the whistle blew and a flag flies here before the play gets going.
Well, the flag was thrown by the umpire behind the Robert Morris line of scrimmage.
And it's against Colonials. Illegal procedures against Robert Morris. And that will give Sacred Heart a very badly needed first down. And more importantly, they get to keep the football because Robert Morris was about to get it back. So now the defense has to work a little more.
Well, Chris, I can't explain that one. I don't know.
I didn't see it either.
I don't know.
Well, Coach Walton isn't very happy.
No,
on the far side.
He can't be.
Royal and Graham are the running backs. They're in the eye. This is Gonzalez in motion out of the slot from the right side to the left. Here's the give. Royal trying to protect the football, wrapped up by Craig Hurlin, but still his momentum carries everybody forward, including Hurlin and Chris Young of Robert Morris, who make the tackle on the play. But a 5-yard gain, it looks like, for Marvin Royal.
Sacred Heart putting together their most sustained drive of the game, Chris. This is the 9th play coming up. Gain of 5 for Marvin Royal. Unofficially puts him over 100 yards for the day at 102 on 19 carries.
Undefeated Sacred Heart, 8-0. Undefeated Robert Morris, 7-0. Both 5-0 atop the Northeast Conference. Second down, a little more than 5. Gonzalez in motion from left to right. Here's Holtfretter dropping back, giving off. Fumble on the play. Ball is loose. Ray Thomas with a recovery. As Brandon Graham took the handoff and went through the line, he was hit hard. The ball came squirting out, and Smoke was Johnny on the spot that time. And Raymond Thomas recovers that ball at the 34-yard line. It's Robert Morris's pigskin now.
Sacred Heart's first turnover of the game, Chris, and it's a costly one. Brandon Graham trying to sneak through the line. He fumbles. Smoke recovers. Colonial football.
6:25 to play, third quarter. Now the Robert Morris offense back out there. This is Gary in motion from the flanker spot left. Give off up the middle. Sam Dorsett trying to crash his way through. And look at the little guy. He can show some power when he has to. And he put his head down and just kept those legs a-chugging up to the 39-yard line for a gain of close to 5 on the carry.
Chris, we've said it many times, and sometimes it's hard to look sort of introspectively, if you will, at your own team. But the Colonials are a great team, and you don't want to belabor that point. But the second fact of the matter being is you got to play 60 minutes to beat them, and that's a good team. Robert Morris 23-2 against the Northeast Conference field since this league began sponsoring football in '96.
And off Dorsett, up the middle again, this time trying to turn it to the left as he was stopped. But Coyote Mayoa made the stop on the play finally after Sam picks up a few more yards. It brings up a 3rd down and short 3 situation for the Colonials. They have the ball spotted at their own 42-yard line. Clock continues to move downward. 5:27 left in the 3rd quarter of play. Robert Morris has a 17-10 lead over Sacred Heart this afternoon on the Colonial Football Network. We're glad to have you along with us. We know they're listening in South Park today, don't we?
Yeah, that's right. You'll explain that, I'm sure.
Gary comes in motion. Crossbuck fake. Floater pass. Oh, broken up nicely by Coyote Mayoa. It was intended for Nick Daniels. He was trying to catch the little swing pass out to the left, and Mayoa stepped in its way and batted it down and almost made a pick. And Levchuk has been intercepted twice today. That pass breakup sets up a 4th down and 3 play, and the Colonials will bring Carlo on to punt once again.
Did Mayoa ever have that play read, Chris? He almost picked it off, and if he did, it's a tie ball game. Because he would have returned it all the way.
Jeff Carlo is in for Bruce Rubenberg, who had a punt blocked, his first attempt blocked today. Now a big rush coming. Carlo zings it out of there. Line driver. It'll be fielded by Hernandez at the 25. He comes forward, and he returns it up to the 30-yard line, but he took one to the chops that time from the play of John Watts and Robert Morris on that return. 30-yard line is where Sacred Heart has the football back. They're in this ball game, down 17-10 to Robert Morris. Still plenty of time. 4:56 left, 3rd quarter.
And who's listening in South Park? Not the TV show, but South Park, Pennsylvania.
Well, for one, Keith Palo and his entire neighborhood probably outside doing some yard work and has the radio up loud this afternoon. He got the whole South Park neighborhood involved last week, but there are others. Play action. And we have Holtfretter throwing out to the near side, complete to Gonzalez. He catches it at the 46-yard line and tumbles to the sideline thanks to Jason Hempstead, but it's a big 1st down play and another big pass gain for Sacred Heart.
Yeah, Deveron Johnson really taking Ray Thomas all the way down the field. He just ran a streak straight down the field. That cleared out area for Gonzalez, and a big pass play, 18 yards from Holtfretter.
Now Johnson goes right, so does Gonzalez in the slot. Graham and Royal are in the eye behind Holtfretter. Colonials playing stacked up to the line of scrimmage. Here's the give. This is Graham carrying the football, and Graham inside the 50 to the Colonial 45. Matt Grayson makes the stop on the play, but another big gain of about 8 yards on the carry that time for Brandon Graham, who came into this game with only 371 yards on the season.
Yeah, and Jim Fleming going right back to him saying, hey, young man, I trust you to carry the football in a key situation after Graham fumbled on that last drive. And Sacred Heart, again, starting to knock on the door here. They have pretty much controlled this 3rd quarter, although no points have been scored yet.
2 wideouts to the right side for Holtfretters this time. Again, the backs are in the I formation on 2nd down. Holtfretter, short drop, fires out right side, looking downfield. It's incomplete for Deveron Johnson. Again, Nick Downs playing him step for step that time and actually breaking toward the ball right when it landed. Incomplete pass, 3rd down and 2.
Deveron Johnson came into this game the hot receiver for Sacred Heart, their leading receiver, 29 catches, 448 yards. He has 0, no catches today.
A lot of that because of Nick Downs.
Yeah, I'd say you could credit Nick, absolutely.
Johnson and Gonzalez again to the right side. This time the backs will split. 3rd down and short for Sacred Heart from the Colonial 45. Draw play. Royal gets it, has the 1st down. He blasts to the 40 and tackled there by Craig Herlin. Also Brad Miller on the play. But again, they allow him the 5 yards and a 1st down for Sacred Heart. They keep that offense moving. 4 minutes left, 3rd quarter. The Colonials up by 7, 17-10.
Sacred Heart now with 5 first downs here in the third quarter. Robert Morris yet to pick up a first down here in the quarter.
This time they're going to send that triangular-shaped triple set to the left side. Now they break out of it. Hernandez, or check that, I should say Douglas Jeffrey, the extra man in, goes in motion right, now comes back left. This is Holtfretter dropping back. Over the middle he floats it, and it's batted down. It looked like Jamon Riff, I should say, had a mid on it. Chris Young tried to chase it to find it before it landed on the AstroTurf, but did not get there in time. But it looked like Riff smacked it down with the left hand.
Yeah, Riff and Young on the play, and Craig Herlin trying to bring a little heat on the blitz from his outside linebacker position in that Colonial 3-4 set, trying to put some pressure on Holtfretter, make him throw before he wanted to, and maybe he did on that play.
Second down, 10 from the 40-yard line. Again, they move their receivers around. The tight end, Wilkinson, comes swinging over to the left side and plants himself. Now Holtfretter back to pass. Again, he floats one out right side. This one is too tall. It got away from him that time. Intended for Doug Jeffrey, slanting to the far boundary line. Coverage on the play by Ray Thomas, and Jason Hempstead was step for step with him that time. Also backing up was Nick Downs. I mentioned a lot of folks in South Park listening today. I know that Dale Venables' wife is tuned in today. I'm sure she wanted to hear if I was on the radio today. That means Dale got here because he was the chauffeur who brought us here for this weekend trip. Dale, of course, with the Colonial Club, and also Skip Lancaster making the trip with us. We had an enjoyable conversation on the way up here and talked nothing except Robert Morris football.
Official chauffeur of the Colonial Football Network.
I guess so. Backing up to pass. Holtfretter hit as he threw, but he zips one downfield to the 25-yard line, and making a diving catch is Andy Gonzalez, and that sets up Sacred Heart nicely at the Colonial 25.
Boy, how he got that ball off, I don't know. It was a wounded duck going out there. But when you're living right, you're living right. And Andy Gonzalez, man, has he come on this half. He now has 3 catches in the second half for 47 yards.
3:06 to play, third quarter. Robert Morris up 17-10. Sacred Heart coming at him. Split backfield, a pro set look. Colonial showing blitz. Here's Holtfretter backing up, giving off. This is Graham, the fullback. Graham hit by Ray Thomas in the backfield. He held on long enough for Reggie Chambers to come and clean up the play, but it looked like Graham was able to turn it upfield before he came to the boundary line and gain a yard.
Hard to get a grasp on Graham. He's 6 foot 225, so Smoke's giving away about 40 pounds on that one, but he needs to go a little bit lower to make that tackle instead of trying to make it up around the shoulder pads.
Ball is placed just outside of the Colonial 23. It's second down and less than 9. Gonzalez to the right side. He's been a real go-getter in this third quarter.
Yes, he has.
They bring in Jeffrey in the slot to the left with Johnson. Single back is Graham. Second down and long. Holtfretter fires toward the end zone right side corner, and the ball is caught, and it's a touchdown for Andy Gonzalez with 2:09 left in the third quarter. Gonzalez beat Hempstead to the pylon on the front side of the end zone on the far side of play, and now Sacred Heart is within a point again.
Well, we said it, Chris. Andy Gonzalez. Man, what a third quarter he's had. Now a 23-yard touchdown pass. He's come out of nowhere. He had no catches in the first half.
Redican is on to boot the extra point. It is up. It is tall. It is good. Tie game. 2:09 to play. Third quarter. Sacred Heart 17. Robert Morris 17. We'll return in a minute on the Colonial Football Network. Now the Robert Morris Colonials find themselves in the fight they expected here. Tied at 17-all in the third quarter with Sacred Heart on the road. And the kickoff by Redican will travel only to the 11. It will bounce to the sidelines and go out of bounds. Opie O'Gary didn't want to touch it. He will draw the flag. And now another flag. And this could be a call against Robert Morris here.
Well, the referee's going to talk to the linesman about this one, Chris, because this kick went out of bounds, and Matt Grayson could have no idea that it was going out of bounds, and it wasn't even that long after the play. They may pick this flag back up, because he did deck the Sacred Heart player, but maybe he thought that ball was staying in bounds. He couldn't see over his shoulder because he's looking upfield to block. So let's see if the official the referee overrules the linesman on that play. Let's just see what happens.
2:03 left, third quarter. Robert Morris and Sacred Heart are tied at 17 all, and there is a major conference going on down at the 11 or 12 yard line where that penalty flag is lying.
Yeah, defensive captain Ray Thomas down there talking to the official. Let's see if they're going to pick this one up.
Illegal procedure called, of course, against Sacred Heart, and a personal foul against Robert Morris.
Do it over.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Well, that's too bad because Redican's kick went out of bounds at the 8 yard line. It wasn't a very good kick.
Now the Colonials would have had it upfield instead. They're going to have a little do-over here.
Sacred Heart coach Jim Fleming wanting a little explanation on that one.
That last scoring drive, 70 yards in 9 plays, 2 minutes 47 seconds, tied the ball game up. Andy Gonzalez, a 23-yard catch from Justin Holtfretter.
Well, how about on the drive, Chris? Of the 9 plays, Gonzalez made 3 receptions for 56 yards and the touchdown. So 56 of those 70 yards to Andrew Gonzalez, who, well, more or less has come out of nowhere in this quarter to really spark Sacred Heart.
You know, we talked about Robert Morris making adjustments at halftime, as we always see. How about Jim Fleming? This is a well-coached football club.
Yes, they are. We knew that coming in that they would be. And again, I mean, here we go, Chris. 7 days later, the Colonials find themselves in a dogfight on the road. How many times can this team keep coming off the deck and answering the bell?
Well, 17-17 is the score right now. It's a lot better than what it was
That's true.
last week.
That's true.
In the beginning of the fourth quarter, almost at the same point of the game when they were down 31-17. And fought valiantly back to tie it up, send it into overtime, and win it in the OT.
And you know, Chris, with the Colonials leading at halftime, they've won 30 of their last 31 that they've led at halftime, and they're 42-2 all time in games they lead at halftime. But I don't think that really matters right now. We got a tie ball game with 2:09 to go, 2:03 to go in the third quarter.
This is a new day, and this is a new kick by Redican. He boots it high end over end. Again, it will come to the near sideline, and it will bounce out of bounds. And this time, no one's going to do any jawing. No one's going to do any pushing. And, well, almost nobody. I guess one of the Colonials got into it just a little bit there, and that was
Andre
Reed.
Bryce Fritz said, hey, come on, man. Let's get out of here. He was getting into it with 34 of Sacred Heart, Craig Caperso. Bryce Fritz, the discretion being a better part of valor there, pulling the young freshman Reed out of that little scrum.
So after all of that, after the redo, we get the same result.
Yeah, that's right.
Colonials will have the ball at the 25 after the illegal procedures call for kicking it out of bounds.
Well, Colonial offense needs to get something done here in the third quarter. Their last drive was a 3 plays and punt, and the only other drive they've had here in the third quarter was 6 plays and punt.
Now Opio Gary comes into the slot. Sean Martin is the wideout. Blitz is coming. Left check dropping deep into the backfield. He's going to be hit and thrown down at the 15-yard line. A 10-yard loss. There were red shirts all over him. Leading the way that time was Jamel Keels. Also in there was backup defensive lineman Eric Penny. And the blitz started with Brian Pawlowski, who's had such a brilliant game here. But a 10-yard loss, and the Colonials now facing second down and 20 from their own 15-yard line.
One of the things Coach and I talked about on Monday, Chris, getting ready for this game, is he says his pass protection has not been very good. And Sacred Heart able to get penetration up the middle and sacked him for a 10-yard loss.
Fulmer to the left. Gary is to the right in motion now. Left check drops back. Short drop this time. Steps up. Now has to run out of the pocket. He wants to throw, and it's incomplete. He almost threw it right to Brian Pawlowski. It was intended, I believe, for Brent Hockenberry, and now the officials throw a late flag. Are they going to call a grounding call here? They can't.
I don't know if they might not call a late hit on 55, Eric Penny. He's saying, what, on me? Let's just see. I'm not sure.
Well, Penny has played hard. He's made some great hits and some tackles here today, but he is a little out of his head.
Well, it probably is a little exuberant. Now they're going to pick up the flag. Okay.
No flag.
Well, nevertheless.
Okay. So now it's going to be third and 20.
Yeah.
And the Colonials have their backs to that wall again at the 15-yard line. Third down, 20.
The punting game has been suspect. The Colonials offense has been suspect here today.
Well, at least in the third quarter, Chris. I mean, Sacred Heart's really taken over the momentum of this game, and Colonials are going to have to make some adjustments on the run. We do now see Scott Konchak back in at right tackle, although he's limping a little bit. That ankle was gimpy coming in, and I think it's a little gimpy right now.
Left check sends Gary in motion to the set from left to right. Here's a pitch and a sweep. Dorsett cuts it upfield to the 20. He's hit at the 22, bounces forward to the 24. On his back, Brian Pawlowski once again. What a game he has played. And Dorsett will bring the Colonials back near the original line of scrimmage, but it'll be 4th down and 10. And Jeff Carlo will punt again for Robert Morris with 45 seconds left in the third period of play. Carlo will stand at his 10-yard line.
9 men on the line of scrimmage for Sacred Heart now. 1 bounces back.
Carlo gets it. Punt is blocked. Punt is blocked again. Second punt block of the day. It will come rolling out of there to the 30, to the 35. It'll take a Robert Morris roll and will go to the 39-yard line, and that's where Sacred Heart takes over. So for the second time today, using a second punter, Robert Morris has a punt blocked.
I think that was Sean Hubbard, number 99, getting his hands on it. Now, Chris, I mean, that was a punt block, and that's what it's going to go down in the scorebook as, and it gives Sacred Heart momentum. But look, at least, at the very least, the ball comes out to the 39-yard line. It could have been even more disastrous than that, but nevertheless, a blocked punt for Sacred Heart.
All right, the Colonial defense starting to wear down. Back on the field again. It seems like they've been there all afternoon now. 1st down and 10. Sacred Heart with the ball. Here is Holtfretter. He wants to throw. He has to run out of the pocket. Fires downfield. A jump catch at the 17-yard line. Hauled in by Deverin Johnson. And it's a big 1st down inside the red zone. He split 2 defenders, jumped up high, and came down with the ball. And you mentioned Johnson, a former basketball player.
That's right, and Johnson's first catch of the day, and it's a big one all the way down to the Robert Morris 16-yard line, gain of 23 yards.
4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1. That's the end of the third period of play here in Fairfield, Connecticut. With Marty Galossi, I'm Chris Shublin, the play-by-play story. As the Robert Morris defense getting backed up again, 17 all, a tie score as we head to the final period of play. Don't go away. We're back in a minute. Final 15 minutes going on the clock here at Fairfield. Sacred Heart Pioneers and the Robert Morris Colonials tied up at 17 all in a battle for supremacy here in the Northeast Conference. Both come into the game undefeated. Justin Holfretters has looked sharp here, especially in the second half. He's in at quarterback, 1st down and 10. Here is the give to Marvin Royal. He runs it to the left, makes a nice cut-in move to the 15, down to the 11-yard line. Smoke Thomas was there in front of him. Matt Grayson and Reggie Chambers behind him to bring him down, but it's a pickup of 4 yards on the play by Marvin Royal.
Colonial offense really has struggled here in the second half, Chris. You alluded to it, and Sacred Heart taking full advantage of it, making the plays on special teams and trying to put this ball in the end zone and take the lead.
Defense has to stop them here. 2nd down and 6. Ball sitting at the 12. High backfield. Slot right. And Gonzalez goes in motion to the left. Here's a fade pass to the right side. Deverin Johnson makes a jump catch on the turnaround. He's out of bounds. He is out of bounds. He made the grab right at the feet of Nick Downs. And also back there, Joe Austin. But he was out of bounds when he came down with the football. A good yard, maybe 2 yards out of the field of play in the end zone to the near side right.
That snaps a string of 3 straight completions for Holtfretter, but just barely. Nick Downs not even making a play for the ball. He was just kind of hoping that Johnson was out of bounds, and Johnson did get good separation from the Colonial senior cornerback.
3rd down, 6. The ball is at the Colonial 12. Backs are in the eye. Holtfretter gives off. Royal straight up the middle, nothing there. Maybe a yard. Reggie Chambers got on him quickly.
Yeah, they're just playing for the lead here.
And Smoke Thomas again, and yes, they are playing for the lead. They tried to run the ball to the middle of the field, trying to find a few more yards, and 4th down coming up here, 4th and 5, so they will go for the field goal here. Again, their kicker is Tim Redican. The holder is Mike Toto. High snap. They put it down. The kick is on its way. It is high, tall, and good. Sacred Heart gets its first lead of the game with 13:39 to play in the fourth period of play. That's a good thing, I guess, when you consider, even though the Colonials did give up a score, it wasn't a touchdown. It was a field goal. 20-17, the lead goes. We'll be back in a minute on the Colonial Football Network. Opio Gary returning Tim Redican's kick as he takes it from down near the 10 out to about the 26-yard line, and Robert Morris will have its offense on the field. That drive for the field goal that gave Sacred Heart the lead went 29 yards in 5 plays in just a minute 40 seconds. Sacred Heart leads at 20-17. That field goal drive set up by the block punt by Sean Hubbard on Jeff Carlo.
Well, 3 Sacred Heart scores today, set up by 2 interceptions and a block punt.
Slot right formation for the Colonials. Single back is Dorsett. He gets the handoff and tries to run straight and does so up to the 30 and backs his way to the 32-yard line with those legs moving forward. Brought down on the play that time by Pete Athens, the free safety for Sacred Heart. But Sam was able to pick up 5 on the carry for the Robert Morris Colonials with 13:10 left in the ball game. The clock moving, and Robert Morris trailing 20-17.
You know, Chris, Robert Morris has not lost on the road in Northeast Conference play in 4 years. November 2nd, 96, they lost 38-35 at Wagner.
Keep your fingers crossed that it doesn't happen again today, because this Sacred Heart team is a tough one. Give. Dorsett starts to the right, cuts back left over the 35, ahead to the 39, up to the 40, and a first down for the Colonials on a good run by Sam Dorsett. First down, Robert Morris, and the Colonial offense needed that one just to get it back in gear, get itself in gear here, as too many times we've seen the Colonials go 3 and out, or just get one first down in a drive and then have to get rid of it.
Yeah, and that's just the Colonials' second first down of this second half.
Slot left formation with Gary and Martin. Martin, the wide receiver, goes in motion to the set. Here's the give. This is Dante Settles off the right side. We haven't seen Settles run the ball today, and Dante is able to move it over the 45 ahead to the 47-yard line. Tripped up there on the play, but he'll pick up close to 8 yards on that run, maybe 9 on the carry for Dante Settles.
Yeah, Dante came up big in the Dayton game back on October 14th, 72 second-half rushing yards when Sam Dorsett hurt his ankle, and little change of pace. Guy comes in there nice and fresh, and the defense doesn't know what to expect. Big 9-yard carry for Dante Settles, his first carry of the game.
5'7", 175, only a freshman from Washington, D.C. Second down and 1. Pitch on the sweep to the right side. It's Dorsett. Makes the cut up. Gets over the 50. Has the first down for Robert Morris and advances the football to the Sacred Heart 46-yard line. That's the offense that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, it is. Colonials just saying to themselves, hey, we're going to keep it on the ground. We're only down 3. There's all kinds of time left. 11:41 to go in the fourth quarter.
I'm just thinking to myself, Robert Morris has to pull this out. I can only imagine what Dale Venables and Skip Lancaster are going to go through for a 9-hour drive if we don't win this game here today. It's all up to those boys in those white tops out there, the white helmets and blue pants. Opio Gary in motion. And now the give. Sam Dorsett picks a hole, finds it, 45-40. Dorsett tripped up at the 39-yard line by Sacred Heart. And Kyle St. George, it looked like, made the stop on the play. Also, Eric Penny, who's been very, very active, although a reserve on this defense. He's played a lot today. And Sam is able to find about 6, close to 6 yards on the play. It'll be second down and a short 5.
24 carries, 138 yards for Sam Dorsett. And now the 6th play of this drive, the first 5 have all been running plays for good positive yardage.
Hockenberry comes off the tight end spot left, goes in motion right. The give up the middle, Settles. Settles spins. 35 down to the 32-yard line. Dante Settles, the freshman from the nation's capital, moves the ball to the 31. Another Colonial first down. Dante Settles looking sharp here. His first offensive action of the day. And again, one of the Colonials hobbling out there. That's Scott Konchak, who was shaken up earlier, Marty. He's going to have to step off, and it'll be Dan Zimmerman checking back in for Robert Morris on the right side of that offensive line.
Yeah, Scott Konchak has been fighting that ankle injury sustained last week in the win at Wagner. Konchak, a 6'8", 320 pounds, just a sophomore, still growing. Coatesville, Pennsylvania.
Andy Gill comes out, so they're going to bring in an extra receiver here, I do believe. Nope, they're going to bring an extra back in. It will be Nick Daniel. He and Settles are in the eye now. Opio Gary, the flanker to the right, goes in motion to the set left. And the give will go to Settles. Settles is stopped as he comes to the line of scrimmage. He was grabbed around the ankles and twisted around on the play by Craig Caperso in a great one-on-one tackle.
Yes, it was, Chris, and that stopped the Colonial train that was running downhill on this Pioneer defense. Craig Caperso stopping Settles for just a 1-yard gain.
2nd down and 9 for Robert Morris as they step inside the 30-yard line. Gary to the right. Ryan Fulmer is into the left side. Sam Dorsett comes back in as the I-back. Now blitz. Here's the pitch. Dorsett around the right side. Can he get away from the defense? No, he can't. Penalty flag is down as Dorsett is tripped up at the line and falls to the 29-yard line. Let's see what that flag's all about. 9:47 left in the football game. Sacred Heart 20, Robert Morris 17, and it will be a holding call against Robert Morris.
Oh, that takes a little steam out of the old sail. This drive started back at the Robert Morris 27, so it's 7 plays old. 42 yards on this drive thus far, but that's going to back the Colonials up 10.
Now you have to start thinking, if the Colonials can't keep the offense pushing, can they go for a field goal? Of course they can, with Jeff Carlo kicking a 55-yarder earlier this year, which was the school record. There is no wind today, and we're playing on AstroTurf, so that helps out a lot too. But Carlo has missed one already today. Carlo tried one from 50 yards earlier and failed. Short. Now the holding call will mark the ball back to the 42-yard line. It's in Sacred Heart territory, but the Robert Morris Colonials have it 2nd down and 21. Gary right, Martin left. High backfield this time, and Levchik to throw. This time he has protection. Shoots it out right side, caught by Opio Gary at the 32. He dives down the right sideline to the 25, stays in bounds. The clock keeps running on the play. He was tackled by Victor Benson, the cornerback, but it was a good jump, catch, and run that time by Opio Gary, the senior for the Colonials.
And that's Tim Levchik's first completion of the second half, and Opio Gary's first catch of the game. We talked about Devin Johnson having a hard time getting into the game. Now Opio Gary, Robert Morris's leading receiver, just now getting into the game. That's a gain of 18 and brings up a 3rd and short.
Gary, 6'1", 190 from the Bronx. 3rd down. 4 yards to go. Levchik, big drop, swing pass, right side, Dorsett, 20, 15, Dorsett, 10, 5, and they're going to rule him out of bounds way back at the 12-yard line.
Wow, what a block.
He tried to go to the house, and he couldn't take it all the way in. He stepped on that chalk line on the far side of play.
There I go again, Chris. Those blocks downfield, I'll tell you what, they get my motor running. Opio Gary knocked the dickens out of Victor Benson down at about the 15-yard line. But great call. Sam Dorsett was wide open. Big 3rd down conversion, 12-yard gain.
And more importantly, a 1st down as the Colonials keep the ball moving forward. They have it at the 12 in Sacred Heart territory. It takes a little bit of wind out of their defensive sails and out of their crowd as well. Now the Colonial offense trying to punch one in the red zone. Here's Martin to the right side. He's the only wide out. He comes back in motion. Play fake. Levchik wants to throw. Rifles one to Hockenberry at the 70. Turns around. Runs to the far corner. Touchdown, Robert Morris. And the Colonials take the lead.
Tim Levchik's one tough son of a gun, Chris. I'll tell you what, he took a shot from 44 linebacker Jason Jarrett. He hung in there and waited for his tight end to come open. And, hey, you throw it down the field, and your guy rewards you for it. Brent Hockenberry looks it at the 5, and he had nothing but green space ahead of him into the end zone for the touchdown. Hockenberry's 2nd touchdown reception today, his 6th in the last 3 games.
The all-important extra point. Jeff Carlo is on. Alan Mangus to hold. 8:25 to play in the ballgame. 8:29 to play. High snap. Mangus puts it down. Carlo nails it. 24-20, Robert Morris's lead. And we'll take a minute break for some scores from elsewhere. Let's swing back to the studios in Pittsburgh, check in with Adam Gusky, and find out what's happening elsewhere in the NCAA.
Okay, Chris, first of all, Big East action. Number 3, Miami leading number 2, Virginia Tech in the third quarter right now. It's 28-0 Boston College over Temple right now in the fourth quarter, 31-3. Syracuse leading West Virginia in the third quarter, 17-13. All games in the Big Ten are in the third quarter right now. Ohio State 20, Michigan State 13. Illinois leading Indiana 28-21. Minnesota trailing Wisconsin 17-12. Iowa 13, Penn State 6. Penn State still falling apart this season. Southeast Conference, Mississippi and Arkansas tied at 7 in the first quarter. Number 18, Mississippi State 14, Kentucky 0, that one in the second quarter. Tennessee now leading over Memphis 13-10 in the third quarter. At halftime, Florida leading Vanderbilt 17-13. And in the Northeast Conference, it's 14-10 Albany leading Monmouth at halftime, and Wagner 21, St. John's 3, that one in the third quarter. With the score, Robert Morris 24, Sacred Heart 20. Let's send it back to Chris.
Adam, thank you much. And now Jeff Carlo ready to drill the ball downfield. Has it teed up at the 35. Here's the run-up and the kick from right to left. End over end down to Kaheem Cowan at the 7. Cuts far side 10 and reverses his field to the near side. Comes back down to the 5. He comes back to the 10. He cuts it to the 15 and is run out of bounds at the 16-yard line by Nick Downs. Good special teams pursuit by Robert Morris, but Kaheem Cowan is a jitterbug, is he not?
Oh, man, Kaheem Cowan ran about 60 yards to pick up about 10. He got to the left side.
For a Sacred Heart offense back out on the field. And their quarterback has plenty of time, and finally he's going to be sacked, and the penalty flag goes down. There could be a face mask call here as Holtfretter went down hard, got his head jerked around. I'm not sure who got him. There were a whole bunch of people in there. It looked like Matt Grayson was underneath the pile.
Holding.
Oh, it will be a holding call, so a fortunate turn of events here for Robert Morris.
I think Robert Morris might turn that one down. They already sacked Holtfretter for a 7-yard loss, and this would only be half the distance to the goal line. And try to minimize the number of plays that defense has to be on the field.
Take the yardage.
Yep,
and they will decline it. Very intelligent. 8:08 to play. Clock stopped on that penalty. Fourth quarter action here in Fairfield, Connecticut. And now they're going to wind the ticker. 24-20, Robert Morris leads. Defense trying to put some punishment into the offensive Sacred Heart here. It's second down and 17.
Chris, I don't know if I can take this anymore.
I said we'd need nitroglycerin last week. We're going to need a truckload. Second down and 17 from the 10-yard line. Long count by Holtfretter. He takes a straight drop, shoots one over the middle. It's complete. He's got a bug loose on the rug here, and all the way out to the 47-yard line, hauling in the football is Douglas Jeffrey on a slant in. He was wide open with no one around him. Finally, Jason Hempstead tracked him down and brought him down at the 47, but a 37-yard pickup for Sacred Heart, and Jeffrey made it look easy.
Yes, he did, Chris. That little, as we said, those little three-step drops, giving Holtfretter just enough time to find his split end and pick up 37 yards. Longest pass play of the day for either team.
Jeffrey in the slot left. Johnson is left also, the wideout. And right side is Gonzalez. Single back this time is Graham, the fullback. Three-step drop, and now chased out is Holtfretter. He's going to turn it upfield. He's going to have to run with the football, but Joe Austin's going to get to him and swipe at him and bring him down after a short gain, maybe 2, maybe 3 on the far side of play.
I didn't know what to expect from the mobility of Justin Holtfretter. We heard a lot about him coming into the game, and you know, if he can get his feet turned up the field, he can make a little bit of positive yardage, but he's not quite as mobile in the pocket, and the Colonials have been able to close in on him, but I think this is a very tired defense right now, Chris.
Oh, I don't think there's any question. Second down, 7. Holtfretter and the Sacred Heart offense right at the midfield stripe, right at their logo. Split backfield this time, a pro set look. Holtfretter, draw play. Royal stopped at the line of scrimmage and thrown down. Brad Carrot grabbed him right in the numbers, held him up for Brad Miller to sock him, and Chris Young polished him off as well. Nice play by the Colonial front men.
Marvin Royal, after gaining 81 yards in the first half, with that 3-yard loss, he now only has 40 yards here in the second half.
Third down and 10. Ball back to the 47. Again, the pro set offense. Holtfretter. Long count. Takes it. Drops back. steps up and throws, and it's intercepted by Nick Downs at the 42, comes near side 50, 40, 30. Nick Downs, there's no one in front of him. No flags on the field. Touchdown, Robert Morris, with 6:18 to play in the football game. Nick Downs with a 58-yard interception return unofficially puts the Colonials up by 10, 30-20.
Nick Downs, what a big play. You know, the first time he ever touched a college football, Chris, he returned it 35 yards for a touchdown against Buffalo State in the opener in '97. And Nick Downs, the Colonials' active all-time leading career interceptor, now with 11 interceptions, he makes the play of this game. What a big play by the senior from Hughesville, Maryland.
Somebody on this defense always seems to do something to spark the whole ball club.
What a big
today,
play.
It's Nick Downs. 30-20, Robert Morris leads. Jeff Carlo is on for the points. Here's the snap. It's up. He rocks it into the sky. It's an 11-point lead for Robert Morris, now 31-20. 6:18 to go. Back in a minute. This is Robert Morris Colonial Football.
Remember, you get the best reception on the net with Nauticom Internet Access. Our high-speed DSL connections give you the quickest access to the Internet at rates up to 10 times faster than 56K modems. Plus, right now, you can download the coupon off the Nauticom Sports Network website and save $25 when you sign up for access with Nauticom Internet Services. Nauticom Internet Services. We're all nets. When your company is looking for quality access to the Internet, look to the company that thrives on the S-Cubed, speed, security, and service. Look to the Nauticom Internet Services. At Nauticom, speed is highlighted by multiple T3 connections to the backbone. Nauticom security comes from our facilities, which provide your servers with the same safe feeling your money gets when it's locked away in a Brinks truck. And the Nauticom service is upheld by a professional, knowledgeable, and courteous staff. Download the coupon off the Nauticom Sports Network website and save $25 when you sign up for access with Nauticom Internet Services.
AM 73, WPIT, Pittsburgh.
Robert Morris takes a 31-20 lead with 6:18 left in the football game, and a 58-yard interception return for a touchdown for Nick Downs. And now Jeff Carlo will knock it high into the air, down to the 3-yard line. It's claimed by Kaheem Cowan. He comes to the 10, 15, 20, spun around at the 23-yard line by Mike Rosatone, and a couple of other headhunters in that kick coverage team, including Monroe Hillsman, and also down there for Robert Morris was Andre Reed once again, and Reggie Chambers was in the fray as well.
Chris,
Nick Downs, Marty.
Yeah, but don't you bet for a second that this has taken all the life out of Sacred Heart. I mean, you don't get to 8-0 by just, doing things every once in a while. I'll tell you what, I bet this team comes out smoking on this drive. They still have a lot of desire, and the Colonial defense has still got to be a little bit tired.
Well, they've been out there for the majority of the lion's share of the time in the second half. And Downs is back out there, man-on-man with Gonzalez now on the right side of the offensive line. Here we go. Holfreder wants to throw, and he's got his man, and a nice over-the-shoulder catch again at the 45-yard line by Douglas Jeffrey. And it's another big play and another first down for Sacred Heart. And here they go again, Martin P. Galosi. They've got the ball at the midfield line at the 50.
Yeah, there's no quitting this team. No way. No way. 26 yards.
31-20, Robert Morris leads. Still an eternity to go. 6:01 to play in this contest. One man in the backfield for Sacred Heart, and he's going to get the give, and that's Graham. He bounces off of Craig Herlin, circles around to the left, cuts back to the middle of the field. He's hit again by Jamon Riff, still on his feet, and finally wiped out by Herlin, who recovered. Brad Miller was there, and so was Matt Grayson. And all that running, they ended up losing 2 yards, maybe 3 on the play. That, let's call it a long 2.
Craig Herlin had like 3 shots at Brandon Graham on that play. Had him dead to rights as soon as he took the handoff from Holfreder. Graham bounced off a couple of tackles, and as he circled back to the midfield stripe, Herlin was eventually able to bring him down.
Conference lead is on the line right now. Still plenty of action left in the season, but these two teams know it's getting down to that time when you've got to win them all. Here is Holfreder back to pass. He's going to be sacked. Brad Carrot, who played at Moon High School in Pittsburgh, knocks him down at the 40-yard line. A big sack for Carrot, who had a rough start to this season because of a back injury, but he's come on strong as of late.
Yes, he has. Brad Carrot, as you said, Chris, the senior from Moon Township, an all-Northeast Conference performer last year, and he comes from that nose guard position and makes a big sack.
31-20, Robert Morris leads. 4 minutes, 50 seconds, time winding down. Third down and long. 3rd and 20 for Holtfretter and the Sacred Heart Pioneers.
Jason Hempstead playing a good 23 yards off the ball, playing deep center field.
Holtfretter, quick drop. Fires a lob out to the right side, and it is caught, falling down at the 33-yard line, and making the catch on the play on the push-off was Wayne Jackson. Jackson pushed off on the defender, circled under the football, and laid underneath it to make the grab. First down, Sacred Heart.
Oh, Chris, you can tell this defense is tired. I hate to belabor the point, but they're beat.
Now Jackson goes to the left side. First down and 10. A big, big play for Holtfretters and Jackson and Sacred Heart. Slot right formation this time. Single back is Graham. Holtfretter getting set to snap it. Takes it. Short drop. Fires an in route, and it's intercepted again by Reggie Chambers. Chambers to the far side. 35-40. 45. He circles back to the inside of the field, to the 50, to the 45, and he's tackled at the 43-yard line. That ball looked as if it was tipped to the line of scrimmage. Holtfretter was trying to rifle a pop pass over the middle to one of his tight ends, and he couldn't get it there. Reggie Chambers makes the pick, and the Colonials have the ball back with 4:03 left. I've run out of paper.
I've run out of words.
You can't do that. We're on the radio.
My wife will say it's the first time I've ever been speechless.
Reggie Chambers with a big interception shuts Sacred Heart down, and now the fans are starting to head to the exits. Don't do that. This club is 8-0. They don't deserve it. Here is Lepchick dropping back to give to Dorsett. Dorsett hugging the ball with both arms wrapped around it. Will cut off of right tackle for a short gain of 2. 3:53 left in this football game. Robert Morris leads it 31-20. Hasn't been the prettiest game they've played this year. Might have been the worst game they've played all year this year, but they're up. They came up with some opportunistic turnovers. They've made the best out of a rugged ball game here today, in which Sacred Heart had a lead coming into this fourth period of play with 13:35 to go. They were up by a field goal, 20-17. But the Colonial defense has turned matters around. 2nd down and 8. Dorsett straight up the gut. Dorsett to the 40 for a 2-yard pickup. And Robert Morris just trying to keep that clock spinning. Now remember, the Colonials have used a timeout. Sacred Heart will now use their first. As the tackle was made by Craig Capurso. Break in the action, 3:16. I need a breather. You need one too. Let's take it here. We'll be back in 60 seconds with Robert Morris leading it 31-20 in Fairfield.
Production assistance provided by Yex Towing, the official towing company of the Robert Morris Colonials. Yex Towing with light, medium, and flatbed towing service 24 hours.
Fame.
After the timeout, Nick Daniel runs the football for a play, but it's 4th down and 3, and the punt team for Robert Morris is on. Jeff Carlo standing inside his own territory at the 48.
Let's see if Jeff can get this off, but more importantly, maybe angle it and really put Sacred Heart in a hole.
See if he even wants it. Yeah, he does. They snap it even though the clock is winding. Carlo will bang it down to the 15. It will bounce. Remember, we're playing on AstroTurf. It goes to the 10. Comes to the near side to the 8-yard line. Coffin corner kick, as they used to call him. And Carlo nails it into that corner down near side. 2:30 to play in the football game. Sacred Heart has 2 timeouts left. They trail 31-20 to the Robert Morris Colonials.
Well, can the Heart show their heart right here, Chris? 2.5 minutes to go. They still have 2 timeouts remaining, but they got to go 92 yards just to cut into this Robert Morris 11-point lead. Justin Holtfretter has shown a propensity to be able to throw that ball downfield. Andrew Gonzalez, Doug Jeffrey, Colonials in a 2-deep coverage now on defense.
But it's still a 2-score game. We'll get to that in a second. Backpedaling, Holtfretter almost in the end zone, comes running out of there, 5-10. He's going to take it on his own to the 20, to the 22, and a sliding tackle by Brad Carrot, who tracked him down from behind. And that was all Holtfretter had there. And with 2:21 to go in the game, they're going to move the chains. They will stop the clock for that. and Sacred Heart will not call timeout just yet. They have 2 left. Holtfretter walks up to the line of scrimmage, draws the snap, takes a straight drop, shoots it over the middle, incomplete. Craig Herlin was on the man that time. Jeffrey, the intended receiver, on that dangerous slant in that they've worked to perfection here today, but not on this play. Incomplete pass will stop the clock with 2:10 to go in the 4th period. We mentioned it's a 2-score game. If Sacred Heart can get a field goal and a touchdown plus the 2-point conversion, they could tie this thing up. We've seen it happen as recently as a week ago. Oh, brother. 2nd down, 10 yards to go. Holtfretters goes to the shotgun now. Graham is a sidecar to his right. Here's the snap coming right at him. And he's going to rifle it out to the left side. It's bobbled and finally drawn in on the catch and running up the far sideline with it, but only for a short distance. On the play was tight end Chris Wilkinson. And Wilkinson will pick up about 8, maybe 9 on that carry after the catch. No, they're going to say he's out almost to the 10-yard mark. And he may be close to the first down. Let's see. They're going to call the referee, Mark Finelli, over to check it. And they did get the first down. So that was a full 10-yard pickup.
Wilkinson's first catch of the game. He's a graduate student, Chris. He graduated back in May and said, I want to come back and try to win a championship at Sacred Heart. And that's what he's trying to do today. He was on those 2 teams that went down to Robert Morris and lost big. And a lot of pride, Chris Wilkinson.
This is a championship caliber ball club. No doubt about it. Here's a pass, and it's too tall this time as Holtfretter shot it out to Deveron Johnson, and he just plain overthrew that one, a good 10 yards. Incomplete, and it will stop the clock with 1:57 to go. 4th quarter, Robert Morris finally breathing a little bit here, although
tenuous.
Yeah, it is tenuous. They're not breathing deep breaths, but they're breathing a little bit here. 31-20, they're up. Oh, what a dogfight this has been here today in the NEC. Gonzalez to the right side, Johnson to the left. Slot man is Jeffrey. Shotgun. Snap, and they send it to Holtfretter, who tries to pass it out right side, and he dribbled it into the AstroTurf intended for Chris Wilkinson. It bounced in front of him, incomplete. And it is now 3rd down at 10 yards to go with 1:53 remaining here in the football game in Fairfield, Connecticut. The sun is setting off to our west now. It is showing again through this overcast that came over the field right after the first period was completed. But a picture-perfect day here in New England.
Yeah, for November the 4th. You can't beat it. 65 degrees at kickoff, sunny, very nice.
And still a few leaves on the trees here. The colors of autumn are still with us.
Shotgun now.
And Holtfretter drops back. Reggie Chambers hits him as he lets go of the ball. He throws it long down the far sideline. It's incomplete. Wayne Jackson, the intended receiver, who had a couple of big catches here today, and too much for him. Again, coverage on the play, Joe Austin.
Well, 4th and 10 now for Sacred Heart at their own 31, and they're out of options. They got to go for it. I mean, you pull out all the stops here. No moral victories. You try to pick up that first down, and I don't think they'll try to hit a home run on this one. I think head coach Jim Fleming and his crew are just going to try to get the first down and just try to keep this drive alive. Sacred Heart now with 2 timeouts and 1:48 to go in the 4th quarter.
Defending Northeast Conference champion Robert Morris, ranked number 1 in the nation. Holding on, 31-20. They have the lead right now. And here we go.
Holtfretter had to call timeout. And that's too bad because the clock was already stopped, and that wastes a timeout. Just, I don't know, he must have seen something in the Colonial defense, or he had the wrong personnel on the field. But nevertheless, that's a big waste of a timeout for Sacred Heart, unfortunately.
Yeah, with the ball 4th down and 10 at your own 31-yard line with only 1:47 showing, and you need 2 scores to try to at least tie it. That, 2 touchdowns, of course, will give you the lead, but a field goal, a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion would tie this, and I think that's what they're aiming at right now. But the first thing you got to do when you're in a situation like this is to get that first score.
Yeah.
And before you get the first score, you got to get a first down.
Well, you're right. Now they waste another timeout, so they're down to 1 timeout left. But Chris, let's pass the kudos around here. Robert Morris down 20-17 going into this 3rd quarter. We thought they were left for dead. We really did. And they've shown tremendous resilience. Big plays made by Nick Downs, of course, on that big interception return. The offense getting things going. But let's also give a lot of credit to Sacred Heart. I mean, you're talking about a program that won all of 2 games last year, and they're trying to win a Northeast Conference championship. I mean, they've gone from a very difficult situation to a lot of good things to build on here for head coach Jim Fleming and his crew. But hey, hand it to Robert Morris coach Joe Walton also.
Holfreder throws out left side, and a beautiful over-the-shoulder grab. Did he hang on? Yes, he did. Yes, he did, and he is Wayne Jackson, who beat Joe Austin on that jump ball at the 30-yard line. So Sacred Heart is still very much in business here.
Wow.
We've seen strange things happen. We keep alluding to a week ago. The come from behind victory in overtime by Robert Morris. Could we see a repeat only by Sacred Heart? On first down, we've got a penalty flag now. First down at the Colonial 30 after a big ball from Holfreder to Jackson, and now we've got that flag flying.
Yeah, I think a little bit of false start on the near end of the field here. 39 yards, Holfreder to Jackson on that play.
Oh, man.
They said there was no quit in these Pioneers, none whatsoever.
They will not go gentle into that good night, even though the sun is still hanging over this stadium. It is starting to set, but they will not go gentle, period. First down and 15 after the illegal procedures penalty marked off back to the 35. And now they're coming over to tell the clock operator here in the booth, Dick Hess, to move the clock back to 1:36. Mike Trosen, by the way, is running the 25-second clock. Really doesn't make a difference. That thing was set anyway. And now first down and 15 for Sacred Heart University. Pioneers with the ball at the Colonial 35. Single back Graham. Holfreder will throw. And the ball in and out of the hands of Douglas Jeffrey. Smoke Thomas with him step for step. As a matter of fact, he was kind of hand guarding him with the right arm that time. And Ray didn't know where the ball was. When he turned around, that ball was actually behind him, and Jeffrey had almost made a dazzling catch.
I'll tell you why Sacred Heart's a well-coached football team. We know Robert Morris is well-coached, but look at the way that Jim Fleming has spread this game out. I mean, one time out, he had the ball on his own 8, and now they're in scoring range. He spread this game out, and he's really going to put some pressure on Robert Morris before this thing's said and done.
Second down, 15. Holfreder in the shotgun once again, sidecar left. Holfreder throws deep, right side corner. Wayne Jackson wide open, but overthrows him and out of bounds on the near boundary, about 5 yards deep into the end zone. Really, Jackson never had a chance to break for that ball because Holfreder put too much on it. Back down defending for Robert Morris, we saw Nick Downs and Jason Hempstead.
He's kind of like a coach in basketball, Chris, where you commit those fouls to get the ball back or put the other team on the line, although there's a lot more skill to it here than there is going on hacking a guy and making him shoot 2 free throws. And he's really, again, he's spread this out. I mean, this is now the 10th play of the drive. It started with 2:30 to go in the game, and it's only taken 1 minute and 14 seconds.
You're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head. All right. Holfreder on 3rd and 15 now from the Colonial 35. Colonial showing blitz are going to back off of it. Holfreder being chased by Grayson, swept out of the pocket, throws downfield, and it's in and out of the hands of Douglas Jeffrey again. Brad Miller went way deep into the secondary to help out on defense. Jason Hempstead overran the receiver that time, and the ball hit him in the hand. He was trying to reach back for it, and Jeffrey just couldn't hang on as he was tumbling down to the turf with 1:10 left. That means it's 4th down and 15 for Sacred Heart. They still have the ball. Robert Morris is still leading, though, 31-20, and the ball is on the Colonial 35.
Well, they've already converted 1 4th down of more than 10 yards on this drive. Let's see if they can do it again.
Slot right formation, shotgun set once again. Holfreder, low snap. He controls it. Now he's going to throw to the right side wing. And a jump ball for Devin Johnson. Did he catch it? No, they say it was out of bounds. Out of bounds on the near side in double coverage. Johnson went up high, and it looked like he came down with the ball in his hands. It is lying on the AstroTurf on the sideline now. But I've got to tell you that Jason Hempstead went up with him. Nick Downs went up with him, and Ray Thomas was back there somewhere. I don't know where he came from. but Deveron Johnson had his hands on the ball in the right near corner of the end zone, 4 to 5 yards deep. I thought he held on, but they're going to rule him out of bounds.
I don't want to tell you how close that one was, Chris.
Well,
I hope I just did. You did. No, you did. That was close. Deveron Johnson going way up. Colonial double coverage, but, Robert Morris can now pretty much run this thing out. And,
yep, first down. They take the ball over on downs, the Colonials do. And now they're in the victory formation. Levchik will take the snap, take the knee, get the clock spinning. We're inside a minute to go. Robert Morris with a 31-20 lead here in the final minute of play at Sacred Heart in a real battle royale today. And Sacred Heart calls its final timeout. Let's take a 60-second break. Back with the final seconds on the Colonial Football Network. Tim Levchik and the Colonial offense in that victory formation. Timmy takes the knee for the second time and makes it 3rd down and 14. And here he goes again with that third snap. Takes it, gives it the genuflection. And with 16 seconds, the clock continues to wind down. And that will be the ball game here today. Robert Morris survives a huge scare here from a very, very good Sacred Heart University Pioneers football team. 31-20, the Colonials win it. Both teams greeting one another out there on the AstroTurf surface here at Campus Field in Fairfield, Connecticut today, as the sun continues to set off to our west as we look straight at it. And the clouds hover over this stadium. Wow, the clouds were able to part for Robert Morris just in time. Some opportune defensive play by the Colonials really did it for them. And, of course, the offense did what it had to today. But this Sacred Heart Ball Club gave the Colonials all they could handle. And Robert Morris tried to implode on a number of different occasions here today, especially early on in this contest. The real pressure in the second half was the defense was out on the field for what seemed to be an eternity, but they hung tough, got some key turnovers, got the ball back, delivered it to the offense, and they were able to score some points and put this thing away. 31-20, final score here in Fairfield this afternoon with Marty Galossi. I'm Chris Shovlin. You stay tuned. Our post-game show comes up following this timeout. 31-20, Colonials win on the Robert Morris Football Network. Back here in Fairfield, Connecticut at Campus Field, Robert Morris survives another big one, 31-20 over the previously undefeated Sacred Heart Pioneers. Again, Pioneers came into the ball game 8-0, 5-0 with a share of the lead in the Northeast Conference, along with Robert Morris, who was 5-0 in the NEC, and 7-0 overall. Now, Robert Morris emerges from this ball game victorious with some opportune defensive play, particularly in the second half, and opportune defensive play, particularly in the second half. And the offense did come on when it had to in the late going, but the defense, again, was out on the field for a long, long time in the second half of play. It bent and only broke a couple of times, but when it counted, it did not break. Robert Morris now goes to 8-0 on the season, 6-0 in the Northeast Conference, and they have the conference lead all to themselves. Right now, before we review the scoring and run down the analysis of today's ball game, let's take you back to Pittsburgh and find out the scores from the other NCAA ball games that we're watching around the nation. Here's Adam Gusky.
Thank you very much, Chris. For the final time, we have a score on the Miami-Virginia Tech game. Very late in the fourth quarter, Miami leading that one 41-14. Boston College defeats Temple 31-3. West Virginia leading late in the fourth 20-17 over Syracuse down in West Virginia. In Big Ten, all games in the fourth quarter, Minnesota and Wisconsin tied at 0. Illinois leads Indiana 35-28. Michigan State trailing Ohio State 27-13. And Penn State ties it up at 13 with Iowa. In the Southeast Conference, Mississippi 21, Arkansas 7 in the second quarter. At halftime, Mississippi State leading Kentucky 14-6. Florida 30, Vandy 13, that one in the third quarter. And in the fourth quarter, Tennessee leading Memphis by 6, 16-10. In the Northeast Conference, we have Albany in the third quarter leading Monmouth 37-10 and Wagner 21, St. John's 3, that one also in the third quarter. And with the final score, Robert Morris 31, Sacred Heart 20. Back to you, Chris, for the rest of the post-game show.
All right, Adam, thank you so so much. Whoa, this started out rocky, did it not? A punt block by Brian Pulowski early in this ball game on a Bruce Rubenberg punt attempt for Robert Morris set up Sacred Heart deep into Colonial territory. The Pioneers trying to go for a Tim Redican field goal from 48 yards out. This was just about 4 minutes into the game, but they missed short. Then Robert Morris got the ball, and with 8:02 to go in the first period, finished off a 69-yard, 8-play drive that chewed up nearly 4 minutes off the clock. Brad Hockenberry, their talented freshman, tight end from Katanning, Pennsylvania, caught a 7-yard scoring strike from Tim Levchick. Jeff Carlo put the Colonials extra point on the board, and it was Robert Morris 7 and Sacred Heart nothing. Then Robert Morris had another scoring opportunity. They marched the ball downfield briskly, but Levchick tried to shoot a pass on a slant into the post at the 5-yard line. Ryan Fulmer had both hands on the ball, but as he turned to reach for it, he couldn't bring it in. It was incomplete, so the Colonials tried for a field goal later in that drive from 50 yards out by Jeff Carlo, and that field goal was also missed short as Carlo got a little too deep under it, and he popped it up into the air. That 50-yard attempt, you really need to drive the ball in a kick like that, needless to say, and with 4 minutes left in the first quarter, the score remains 7-0 Robert Morris. Then Levchick was picked off today by Pete Athens. This came just at the end of the first period of play. Into the second quarter, the drive continued for Sacred Heart. They went 5 yards in 4 plays in just a minute 21. They got a Tim Redican 38-yard field goal, got themselves on the board with 13:51 to go in the second period, and they trailed Robert Morris 7-3 at that moment. Then with 10:22 to go in the second period, Jeff Carlo banked through a 41-yard field goal for the Colonials. That drive went 50 yards, 8 plays in just 3.5 minutes. The Colonial lead was extended to 10-3. Then Levchick threw his second interception of the day. This time he was picked off by Kaheem Cowan, who returned the ball all the way to the 9-yard line. This came with just about 5.5 minutes left in the first half. A couple of seconds later, actually 18 seconds later, after a 9-yard drive that went just 3 plays, Marvin Royal took it in from 4 yards out. Redican added the point after, and the game was tied at 10-all. With 1:05 to go in the second period, Robert Morris able to drive the ball downfield, 41 yards in 8 plays in 4 minutes 14 seconds. Ryan Swafford got a rare run and a touchdown from 4 yards away. Carlo's kick put the Colonials up 17-10. Then Sacred Heart scoring again.
Just like the Robert Morris Colonials know what it takes to be a part of a winning team, so does John Soretti. Dedication, determination, and loyalty are all important ingredients to success. Here at John Soretti's, we live and breathe by that philosophy. Do the best you can every time, and the results will speak for themselves. We invite you, the Colonial fans, to come in and see the warm and friendly feeling you experience in our showroom, as well as the special one-on-one attention you're given when purchasing your next vehicle. John Soretti has been selling cars to the staff and students of Robert Morris College for over 15 years. And as a special thank you for the loyalty they've shown, our team will offer a Bobby Moe discount on any new or used car truck in stock. That's an additional $500 coupon to you. Offer only good through the season. PGT Trucking is a leading transportation company for the metals and building construction industries. Known as the Proud Professionals, PGT takes pride in our drivers and our equipment. Headquartered in Monaca, Beaver County, PGT Trucking continues to grow and expand. We've grown into one of the largest transportation companies in southwestern Pennsylvania. PGT is committed to our employees. We recognize it takes teamwork to be successful. We offer a supportive work environment, family benefits, and performance bonuses. Our employees are an essential part of the PGT family. Join the Proud Professionals today. Call 1-800-837-1748 or visit us on the web at www.pgttrucking.com.
Well, apparently a technical glitch in the studio in Pittsburgh, but we're back at it, and we'll catch up with a recap on the score here. Again, Levchik was picked by Kaheem Cowan with about 5.5 minutes to go in the second period of play, and with 5:19 to go in the first half, Marvin Royal ran it in for Sacred Heart from 4 yards out. Redican's kick made the score a tie game at 10-10. Then Ryan Swafford got a touchdown run 4 yards out. Robert Morris, with 1:05 to go in the second period, takes the lead again, 17-10, after Jeff Carlo tacked on the extra point. That drive went 41 yards, 8 plays in 4 minutes, 14 seconds. Then we go to the second half, and in the ball game, with 2:09 to go in the third period of play, again Sacred Heart ties the ball game up. And it was Andy Gonzalez on a 23-yard catch from Justin Holtfretter as Redican added the extra point kick on. Their offense looks stupendous in that drive, 70-yard drive, 9 plays, 2 minutes, 47 seconds. The game was tied at 17-all. And then for the second time today, Robert Morris had a punt blocked. This time Carlo was the punter, as he was in for Rubenberg, who had a punt blocked early on in this ball game. Carlo's punt was blocked by Sean Hubbard with 19 seconds to go in the third period of play, and that gave Sacred Heart the ball back, and they were able to drive it just inside of the fourth period. They got into the red zone again, and this time settled for a 27-yard field goal by Tim Redican. That drive, 29 yards, 5 plays, 1:40 elapsed. Sacred Heart led 20-17 in the fourth quarter. This is the second time in as many games that Robert Morris has gone down in the fourth period of play early, only to rebound. And they rebounded with offense and, again, with timely defensive plays. 8:29 to go, fourth quarter. Tim Levchik drove them downfield like a master. 73 yards, 10 plays, and chewed up 5 minutes and 10 seconds off the clock. The touchdown strike was to his favorite target these days, Brent Hockenberry, the freshman from Katanning, a 12-yarder. Carlos Point made it Robert Morris 24, Sacred Heart 20. Then the defense, out on the field for what seemed to be an eternity, came on tough. 6:18 to play in the game. Nick Downs returned an interception of a pass by Justin Holtfretter, 58 yards to the house. Carlos' kick put Robert Morris up 31-20. Then Sacred Heart threatened again, but Reggie Chambers picked off another ball and returned it downfield. Again, Sacred Heart had the ball, but the defense didn't break. Robert Morris wins it. It stays undefeated. The Colonials 31 and Sacred Heart 20. Robert Morris, as we told you, now 8-0 on the season. They have won their 15th consecutive ball game. They are now 6-0 in the Northeast Conference, all alone at the top of the conference standings, and they're pretty much set to repeat as conference champions again. Also, they will probably, most likely, retain their #1 standing in Don Hanson's Football Gazette, which rates the Division I AA mid-major football powers around the country as the Colonials pull off another win. And Joe Walton, on a personal note, gets his 50th victory as a college head football coach. He is only one of 3 men to coach both in the pros and in the college ranks. 50 wins in the pros and 50 wins collegiately. So, a tip of the hat to our coach as always. 31-20, the final score here. We'll wrap it up finally for you after we take this short 2-minute timeout. This is the Robert Morris Colonial Football Network, and Robert Morris wins it 31-20 at Sacred Heart.
Listen to the Colonials on Team Line from anywhere in the world. All you need is a phone. Call Team Line at 1-800-846-4700 extension 1122 for Robert Morris Athletics. Major credit cards accepted. Catch the Colonials over the phone on Team Line. Call 1-800-846-4700 extension 1122. Chris Pullman's Flowers and Gifts, 5th Avenue in Coriopolis, will send flowers to a deserving patient at Sewickley Valley Hospital for every victory by the Robert Morris Colonials again this season. Chris Pullman's Flowers and Gifts, 937 5th Avenue in Coriopolis. The Colonial Athletic Club is the official booster club of Robert Morris College Sports. For a membership application, call 412-262-8295. Cheer on the Colonials as a member of the Colonial Athletic Club. If you were any closer, we'd have to give you a uniform.
The Colonial Athletic Club is the official booster club of all Robert Morris College men's and women's athletic teams. It's an active club involved in game day activities, golf outings, community and campus events, and in cheering on our teams. Alumni, parents, ex-players, and fans are all encouraged.
Pittsburgh.
All that's left for us to do is to remind you that the Robert Morris Colonials will be back home at Moon Stadium next Saturday afternoon when they take on the Great Danes from the University of Albany. That will be a 1:30 kickoff at Moon Stadium. And you folks listening in on the Colonial Network and all around Pittsburgh, if you don't get out to see this football team play at home next week, this is going to be their last home game of this spectacular season. Shame on you for the rest of the calendar year, because this team is something special. Yes, they struggled today. Yes, they made some mistakes today, but yes, they won another ball game, and yes, they're 8-0, undefeated overall, undefeated at 6-0 in the Northeast Conference, and the Colonials are on a big, big tear, ranked number 1 in the nation. Don Hanson's Football Gazette, which rates 1AA mid-major football powers. The Colonials pull one off here today, 31-20. They've gone through the meat grinder portion of the schedule. Of course, they have to keep their heads up and watch out for Albany next Saturday at Moon Stadium. And they will finish out the regular season at Stony Brook on November 18th. So that's what's in the offing. Albany next week at Moon, a 1:30 kickoff. We'll be on the radio and on the internet live on the World Wide Web and archived on both broadcast.com and on noticomsports.net. Of course, you can catch our games live on the web, and if you can listen to the replays as well, and they are exciting, no doubt about that. So the Colonials win it 31-20. That concludes our coverage of Robert Morris football for today. We want to send a special thanks to our scoreboard update reporter, Adam Gusky, and, of course, our director in the studios in Pittsburgh, Ryan Gavatorta. For Marty Galosi, I'm Chris Shutlin. Final score here again. Robert Morris, 31, Sacred Heart University, 20. Thanks for joining us on the Colonial Football Network for today. And don't forget, next week, 1:30 kickoff, 1 o'clock pregame show, the Albany Great Danes at Moon Stadium against the undisputed Robert Morris Colonials. Right now, 8-0 and 6-0 in the conference. What an exciting year these guys are having. Again, we'll see you next week in the stands, hopefully at Robert Morris. Bring your radio along and follow the Word's Eye view of Colonial football right here